Testing, testing, can you guys hear me? Testing, testing, can you guys hear me? Are we good? Are we live? 1 2 3, 1 2 3. This is Alexis Nodo. You're back. It's been a while. It's a Sunday weekend. Happy weekend, everybody. Yesterday I kind of slept. Today I kind of slept all the time. So we have a little bit cooked. But I think we are back. So let's continue. Let's continue to see what we are up to. I think I can hear them do Genshin Empire and follow up the character study. What do they and talk about some other stuff? That's pretty much the plan. Oh. It's like the climate is scorching as hell. What it is. I think tomorrow from onwards, I could play a new game. I do have a mixtape on their directive. We could check the bottom of them out and then see if that game is good or not. It's like some people say it's 10 out of 10 and then there is some people say it's a dog shit. But I want to know which one is true. Yo, Izzy, welcome. How are you doing, Izzy? How's your day? Izzy, how are you doing? Good? Nice. Everything good? Sweet. What are you up to? Anything new happened? I'm here first. True, bucko. Watching you. Nice. Williams, am I late or am I on time? Yay! When you were on time. I'm late today. I sleep. We sleep. How's you doing? How you doing? Doing all that nice. What the hell? Alright, let's do a story. We are story enjoyer. We ain't gonna do anything else. I mean, there are a bunch of other side quests I could do. I did that right in the face clean. I couldn't quite know what to go your stream as. To catch up with the story in Genshin, that's pretty much it. What else do you want us to say? Baby, you're glad. Do you have to go to Inazuma? What the hell? Why? Story beats up till now, yes.
I heard there's a crazed forest boar wreaking havoc around the outskirts of Chinju Forest. Didn't you go for a walk there a few days ago? Did you see it?
Nope.
Really? Then what about that weird kid? Word is, she's been asking around that same area about some witch. The rumors about that place are just bizarre. We should head over and check it out for ourselves.
Count me out. I just finished working overtime. All I want to do right now is head straight home and catch up on sleep.
Yeah, you look dead on your feet. I'd better stick with you till you get back. Don't want you passing out on the way.
Did you hear that? No! The part about the witch! What if it's one of the mages? Come on, we gotta go check it out! Break, Schmake! Besides, Paimon doesn't believe for a second you're not curious about this. If there's a mage around here, something big must be going on! Maybe there's nothing to it, but if the rumor's true, we might be able to help out!
This game is quite Disney-like. You know, it's like a Chinese version of Disneyland. You know? Oh shit, none of the things I have is a 5-star. Yeesh. Yikes. Where she is? Oh my god, she's just a 300 level. I mean 300 attack. He's just a weakling.
This should be the place. Let's see. Any forest boars or mages around? Huh. Guess not. Looks like it was a false alarm. Makes sense. Paimon doesn't recall ever seeing a forest boar here before. And all that stuff about a witch? Why would they come all the way here, out into the middle of nowhere? They have way more important stuff to be doing. That's just a stereotype. A witch will do anything for her own amusement, even if it causes innocent people to suffer. That's why it's a hunter's duty to... Wait, you two. You're Alice's trusted confidants. The renowned duo of the Traveler and Paimon. Hold on. Let me start over. My name's Prune, and I'm Alice's friend. Yeah, friend. In fact, she invited me here to take care of a, witch-related incident. But we lost contact due to certain uncontrollable circumstances, so... Guessing this is the weird kid who was asking around about witches? Yeah, I heard that! And don't give me that look. I'm I'm not some weird kid wandering around for no reason. I'm here for a professional investigation. The point is, I know Alice. Uh-huh. You don't sound super sure about that. Don't believe me? Look, Alice gave me these. Witch's tools. Surely you recognize the magical signature on them. A bell, a hammer, and a tattered old book? Yes, they could be special, but they're not exactly screaming witch. Huh.
It Alice is a
odd.
witch? Since
Not
when?
recognizing the first two, I can understand. But this Spondamod textbook really means nothing to you? The Traveler's Companion is supposed to be a well-read, high-level student at the Academia. According to the rumors, at least. 80 years ago, this was the defining Spondamod text. It's a true classic. Wait, you mean companion as in Paimon? Man, Paimon's academic cred is off the charts! Which is to say... Yes, of course! That text is super... important and all that. Whoa! Why is the bell ringing all of a sudden? In theory, it detects localized abnormal magical fluctuations. Huh? Unusual power surges. There must be one nearby. I just know I'm right this time. It's gotta be a witch. Wait, so you're saying it means a witch is nearby? Just follow me. You'll see I'm right.
Dude, the Twitter manipulation they do with their recommended page, holy Christ, it's so bad, dude. So what happened is, yesterday I said in my Discord I'm gonna fight the racist people with the Twitter, right? So I saw one racist video about Indians and then I replied to it in Twitter. And then all of a sudden, all of my recommended Twitter tweet post in the main page is just literally rage waiting.
You said it was gonna be a witch! Shoot. Forgot my hammer back there. Sorry, but could you take care of these while I go get it? Thanks!
It's just that before,
Nice one, Traveler!
at least in the internet, the recommended page
They're
is
as good in
just
battle as all the rumors say.
subtle about
Thanks
it,
for
right?
stepping in,
To keep you
and
engaged.
I apologize. I shouldn't have rushed in like that. But I wasn't lying! Alice said that when the bell rings, a witch might appear. I just didn't realize the probability was so low. It's okay. We believe you. Besides, if it's one of Alice's gadgets, it must be able to do all sorts of weird things. We know all about that, don't we? Oh, I knew it! Oh, hey! There's a card here! Calling all children with imaginary friends. Do you want to accomplish something great together? If so, go off and find the Dough King. There's also a forest boar drawn on it. Could it be the one that's been running wild around here? Another one of her schemes. What do you mean? A plot to lure in children using the things they love the most. And using their own imaginary friends against them? Oh, it's despicable, reprehensible, and absolutely unforgivable. You think it's that serious? Then we've got to do something. There it is again. Please don't let it be more monsters. Considering what happened before, you're right to be cautious. I'm gonna go ahead, but I won't force you to come along. What should we do? We can't just leave her on her own.
So nowadays, the Twitter is just way more obvious of what it's doing. Like it will genuinely, like only just recommend the things that you engage with to keep you engaged in the app. Like it was just insane. Like how obvious it is right now. Before at least they pretend that they are like normal, right?
This time.
Bunny, hello, how you doing, Bunny? How's your day? What's your cooking? Why are you late?
Blow it up! Blow it up!
Guess the rumor
Yeah,
about the
clear
forest
all
war
that.
is true, but it talks? What is it planning to blow up? Isn't this kind of
How's it,
concerning?
miss? What's up? I am hunting
Pretty sure
a
what Queen said is just as
Well,
concerning.
the summer is still brutal.
Honorary Knight, Paimon, and Prune! Wait, you two know each other? Yep. Prune moved to Mondstadt not too long ago. She taught me this game called Answer or You're Toast. It's super fun. What? Hey, I told you not to tell anyone about that. It's not like that. It's just a game where you answer questions and, in return, you get to eat toasted snacks. That sounds right up Paimon's alley. You should come next time, Paimon. The more people we have, the bigger we can make the fire, and the more fun it'll be.
Dude, you guys want to believe how bad the racism gotten in a total, dude. There is no restriction, no what do you call it, mediation, nothing.
Playing. This is popcorn.
You can
my
literally
new
call a white
friend.
guy a white pig and you can get away with it, and a black guy the hard N-word, and nobody is doing anything,
That's the
dude.
request for help that the Dough King drew. But don't worry, the Hexen Circle.
I think it's highly recommended to not use that app.
Do you know where the witches
It's
are?
not good for your head.
Come on, you can tell me. Yeah, they're
I just
inside
tried
the
to
secret base.
use it for the time pass, like yesterday I was kinda bored, right? For one of the worst decisions of my life.
I was right. I knew they had to be close this time.
This is really bad.
Why do you look like you're gearing up to fight a monster? Trust me, these witches are... Ta-da! The Little Hexen Circle reporting for duty. We just talked it over, and Yao Yao said we should put the little in front because we all still have growing to do. The Little Hexen Circle?
What is this, goblin party? We're having a goblin party over there. Every one of them is a goblin, look at that.
I'm Little Witch Klee. Oh, and the Little Hexen Circle was my idea. It's always a good day when I get to see you two again, Traveler and Paimon. Oh, right.
Really?
Klee mentioned she was bringing a new friend to the base. Guess we should introduce ourselves then. I'm Little Witch Yao Yao from Liyue. I just joined the Little Hexen Circle and I'm looking forward to learning a lot. Oh, hi. Your turn, Chi-Chi. Nice and slow. Just like we practiced, okay? Still remember what you wrote down? I am Little Witch Chi-Chi. That's all. Traveler and Paimon are in my heart. I can remember them without writing things down. New friend is a new face. I will try to remember. My turn? Hello, you two. Oh, and our new friend here. I'm Little Witch Sunny. Hello, friend, or, witches. You can call me Prune. Sure looks like the real deal. You even have introduction magic, just like Alice and Nicole. Mom's a super impressive witch. Guess I just take after her. Wow, Prune. So, when you said there were witches around here, you were talking about Klee and the others? Yes, of course. A little witch is still a witch after all. Was this Alice's idea? Does this organization take orders from the main Hexen Circle? Prune is the best. She's my friend. Oh, and Mom said she's her friend too. What? Your mom said we were friends. What's with the surprise? Didn't she just tell us herself she was Alice's friend? So, Paimon, Prune, wanna join the little Hexen Circle? Do it, do it! You can come into our secret hideout, and we can all share snacks and toys. Plus, you get to share Mom's cool introduction magic, too! She said I can use it on all the little witches. I'll pass. I stopped playing pretend a long time ago. Whew. Unlimited snacks are one thing, but self-introduction magic, too? That's so cool! Wait, no! Paimon's not ready! Alice also loves putting people through trials, remember? What if Klee inherited that trait too? Paimon can't swear allegiance now! She'll look like such a joke if she doesn't pass the test! Oh. Oh, so, fellow little witches, does Paimon need to pass some sort of trial to join the little Hexen Circle? Nope. All it takes is an invitation from Klee. That's how we joined. Yep. Wow! That's a lot simpler than Paimon thought. That's to be expected. A child's world is simple. Adults are the ones who make things complicated. So, Paimon's a little witch now? Oh, what's your introduction magic gonna be? Mom says the content of the introduction is super important, because it's kind of like a first impression. So the person who knows the little witch best should decide.
I think I should just go and then farm more dungeon or something.
Hold my hand, and the magic will
This
transfer.
is do my stuff, like, you know what?
Yeah, you definitely know Paimon best. So, in your eyes, what kind of little
What do you guys
witch
think?
would
Should we
Paimon
continue
be?
this, whatever this is? I have to be just
Hold out your hand.
farm.
All right, little witch Paimon, go ahead and introduce yourself. Oh, that's it? Okay. Here goes nothing. Ahem. Hello, everyone. Little witch Paimon reporting for duty. Congratulations. But shouldn't we get down to business? Something doesn't seem right with this boar. Yeah! You said the little Hexen Circle is working on a quest, right, Klee? Now that Paimon's a member, she should get all caught up, huh? So, what's the situation? The whole popcorn thing is super complicated. It's gonna take ages to explain. Can we at least find somewhere to sit down first? Standing is so tiring. Ooh, let's have a tea party then! Tea parties are perfect for long conversations. Great idea! I'll be in charge of snacks
Yeah,
and
she is a much of a lag job like
I'll
her
get the
mother.
chairs. And I'll get some toys for us to play with.
Who the fuck has of patience to?
You can come with me, Chi-Chi. Help me pick out some good snacks. You're more than welcome to explore our secret base in the meantime, Honorary Knight and Prune. Alright. Guess I can do some reading while I wait.
What did they say about being in this game is very Disney? Look at this. So Disney as hell.
All things come to an end. Even time.
Oh damn. So she is taking away DPS. Oh. Oh. So why do we put these into this character? That's been odd. But because he is easier to play? I think that's most likely the case.
Archon reporting for battle.
Oh, she's dead. She's dead for some reason. Oh, nice. I think at this point they should just Did I do this? Thought I did. They should just let the people play the thing. Again, on reader quest. Neat. Look at how many characters we got. So many of them. So many. Wait, I thought this game had a recommended section. Oh yeah. They do. Wait, what do you mean I'm unactivated? Did they just give me all the stats right away? That's actually a good improvement, to be honest. Not bad. So instead of investing, I think I can already make the decision. Wait, this one doesn't tell me that. Why 5-star only tells you that? Would be weird. Oh, what's happening to my avatar? Tweaking. How's that tweaking? Is that game released or what? Black Flag. They mean I've been in that game for a while now. Did I just summarize this video? What is he yapping about? Damn it, I don't have the summarize feature here. Shit!
Hi guys, it's me. It's different. The way that you bring a product to market is different. The way that you have to market is different. And everything is different. And I think that what's happening is that things are changing so fast that only the people that have the intuitive, multi-level knowledge are going to be able to navigate this. And it's making it even harder for people who might have a lot of industry crystallized knowledge, but they don't have that fluid, liquid decision-making intelligence that I think you need now in order to stay competitive. So what you're seeing is you're seeing these smaller studios, you're seeing smaller productions, and you're seeing smaller forms of media that's totally overtaking larger ones. And I think that this is especially true. Like, you can look at raw numbers, and I think that in raw numbers,
hello.
you definitely have some instances of this, but it's less common. But in the times where it's really common is whenever you look at the cost-benefit analysis. You look at something that costs like maybe $1 million to make, and they make $20 million. Well, that's insanely successful versus something that took $90 million to make. It's going to happen to news as well. That's very exciting, isn't it? And so the fact is that I think all of these things are happening simultaneously. media, art, that these big studios and these and this is movies, TV shows, media, art, other types of institutions. I think it's going to happen to news as well. That's very exciting, isn't it? And so the fact is that I think all of these things are happening simultaneously because of the agile development, and also the fact that these things are much smaller, but they can navigate around risks, pitfalls, mistakes, or potential event horizons that they don't even have to worry about now. They can just simply turn around. You don't have to spend, 3 years to resituate something. You don't have to go through 7 levels of bureaucracy. So what you have
What about
is
you?
an
How's everything
engineered
going? Pretty good.
obsolescence.
Thank you for
have
asking.
companies that are not too big to fail, but
Xin
they're
chào
too
mình là
big
Vũ
to
Huynh Phúc Chất
succeed.
Đại Sĩ.
And I think that what's happening is that now you're starting to see this happen in media. Now you're starting to see this happen in video games. Before it was just maybe a few art things and art assets, etc. But now it's getting a lot bigger, and you're seeing big studios like, for example, Bungie, that really are using an industry standard from a time that doesn't exist anymore, and they're still trying to deliver a product to a market that also doesn't exist. And so what you're having is that there are smaller studios now that are operating with, like, let's say, I would say, what is a smaller studio? I'd say a smaller studio is 15 to 200 people. Like, that's, I'm just making up a number. I have nothing to go off of. I'm just making this up. But, like, a smaller studio, and compare this to, like, Ubisoft, for example, has, like, thousands of people, or Blizzard has thousands of people, or Activision, well, I guess it's the same thing, but they have thousands of people. Like, these companies are huge, right? And so when these companies are so large and there's so much bureaucracy, HR, oversight, managerial, like input, that everything, you're really setting yourself up to fail, because ultimately
I think it's a problem with the gaming itself. Like, people kind of gotten bored of playing games on a flat screen at this rate. Like, I get bored in like within 5 years. Like, it has this formulaic game method. Many people are not innovating anything new.
So today, y'all, we're gonna be debunking a huge streamer by the name of Asmongold. This guy has millions on YouTube, millions on Twitch, and pretty much every time I see him on the internet, a clip of his or a tweet of him is something racist. Now, this all started because
it's not always racist. It's sexist sometimes too. And also, I do discriminate against people with disabilities. But yeah, sometimes it's racist too. Yeah, sure.
Of a tweet and post that we already did a video on, right? Joe Bart.
Not something you can flex up on,
saying
dumbass.
that black people aren't inherently more violent than any other group of people. In quote, he states, if you are going to say statistically they do, that is only because of impoverished areas and the lives they've been given due to the implications of systemic racism. 100%. This is something that I preach all the time.
Let's see what our Jeff Bezos said. This guy just feels so much with his retarded take.
Some real evil.
Look at our, let us watch our chat.
To pick up a newspaper
Giga chat, let's watch it.
About wealth in America, about the billionaire class, about wealth inequality and policy and everything else. And it's taken a uniquely critical turn, I think. And I'm so curious, before we even get into everything else, what you think about that right now.
Well, first of all, Andrew, I'm glad you're asking the question. I think it's a really important topic, and I think it's an important one to discuss, because I see the same thing you do.
I think Dude is going senile.
Headlines, you see it in a bunch of places, and I have been thinking about, like, what is driving this? Because it does seem different from 10 years ago, and
I will tell you what is driving is people's standards of living is miserable in America and they want to find a witch to burn, that's all. If you are smart enough to recognize that, you can fix it. People's standard of living gotten worse and worse with the following years. And then they are kind of having a really that time over there. And then they want something to blame on it.
I think what's going on is that it's kind of a tale of two economies. So you have a bunch of people in this country who are doing really well, but you also have a bunch of people in this country who are struggling. Struggling to pay rent.
What do you mean by bunch? Which bunch? There is no bunch in top 1%. Like, look at his body. Like, he just equalized the dynamic in between rich people and the normal people. Normal people are significantly larger more than these billionaires. These billionaires are like a handful.
Groceries. And so,
you know?
What's happening here is politicians are using the kind of age-old technique. So there's this tale of two economies, and they're using this age-old technique of, picking a villain and pointing fingers. But the problem is that doesn't solve anything. And so, like, if you want to help the...
That's actually a valid time from this, valid point from this beacon. They are picking a villain and then pointing at them. That is a valid point. But not in this scenario, though.
People who are struggling,
you are a villain. Like, here's the thing. People who actually work honestly will never be a billionaire. I'm just sorry. Sorry, this is the truth. If you work honestly, no shot in the universe you are getting $1 billion. It just doesn't work like that. At least the system we got right now, legit. I can literally... what are you gonna...
real root causes and solutions, and that takes skill. It's like if we have a problem at Amazon, the way we would fix it is we would go in and we'd do the 5 whys and we'd try to get to a root cause. We'd try to find a root fix.
Is this what?
Yeah, fixing by firing most of the people that actually work there. Then you have a $1 billion company.
Unfettered profit does to your body. You don't stay.
You did say human pro.
I don't know what the going on with this guy. But yes, everybody knows the most depressed person after Twitch streamers, of course, is the billionaire. Number 1, Twitch streamers. Number 2, billionaires. Twitch streamers basically also billionaires in many ways, and trapped inside of billions of minds, having permanent occupation. Oh, by the way, Jeff Bezos is a big advocate of this whole, like, let's cut taxes for people making less than $100,000 a year method, which is insane. And of course, the reason why it's insane is because that's how everything gets funded.
I think that is a retarded take. Because if you remove the tax paying dollars from the lower end, people will, you will just advocate for him. This guy is advocating for more immigrants to come over there. So if the bottom 40%, right, he's saying, like, we can remove the taxes from them completely. Immigrants will come there and then they don't have to pay taxes. This is a diverting mechanic. Like, they just say one thing that sounds better on the paper, but they won't address the consequences of what is going to happen if you do that thing. Removing taxes from everyone is not a good idea. I think it should be lowered, but it should not be removed. Like, if you remove the taxes from the lower end, what the fuck they are contributing? You could say they can... they can have more buying power, so it will just fund the economy. Okay, fine. What about the government? Government runs on taxes. If you remove the most of these taxes, you are cooked. Not to mention, in this whole video, that's why I said, once he will accept the fact that he would not say that he is willing to pay more taxes in the whole video. He just never would admit it. What?
To further erode the government coffers, it should be to make Jeff Bezos pay a comparable amount of his, yearly growth of not income necessarily, because these guys also pay themselves like $1, but his yearly
True.
net worth growth in wealth. Yes, the United States is the most progressive tax system in the world. The top 1% pay 40% of taxes. The bottom 50% pay 3% of taxes. We can make it even more progressive by zeroing out taxes on the bottom half. It's a small amount of the total tax revenue, but very meaningful to people in this group. The bottom 50% pay 3% of taxes. Okay, I'm willing to entertain that if the top 1% pay literally more than 40%. How about that? Get the top 1% to pay 100% of the taxes. Reactions from Zoran and Tom Steyer. I know a few teachers in Queens who would beg to differ. Yeah, Bezos on CNBC. You could double the taxes I pay and it's not going to help teachers in Queens, I promise you. Yeah, Tom Steyer, billionaire, says, this is bullshit. I promise you, tax billionaires invest in schools.
And then when we fix it at the root, you're fixing it forever. It's a real solution. And what we don't do, because it doesn't work, is just point fingers and blame people. It might feel good for 10 seconds.
Yeah, I think he is right about this one too. Some of the points he is saying right, but these are all reflection from the person who is benefiting from capitalism. You know, he's talking about it should be changed from the root, right? The root of the problem itself is capitalism and how the system works around it. You have to dismantle it completely and then build up from the ground. Like, you know? Like the fundamental option this guy have right now is just this free market they talk about, right? What happens when the free market, when there is a billionaire that has like a good amount of wealth influence in that certain free market, they will always try to monopolize it or duopolize it. Like take this guy, for example, we got Amazon, we got Walmart, and what else you got over there? So they just literally destroy the competition and then try to be monopolized it. There is no free market. Like you think you can compete with Amazon? No shot, bucko. The only thing that can challenge Amazon or destroy Amazon is itself. At this point, they have gotten that big and they have influence all over the world. The only thing that can dismantle Amazon is itself. There is never going to be a competition about this. You're cooked. Free market, by the way, this is what the capitalist system does. Like for example, GPU, NVIDIA. In India, I can give you an example, Jio. You guys remember Jio literally giving us free SIM cards? And then what they did was you have to pay money in order to even make calls anymore. And they force you to pay monthly. That's what capitalism will do to you. You have to pay a monthly subscription, otherwise your phone will get disconnected. Even incoming calls, it gotten that bad.
But doesn't accomplish anything. And so what could you really do? So like, I started...
Do you have a plan?
I have some ideas. I have some places to start. So, I started thinking about this and doing some research. A nurse in Queens who makes $75,000 a year pays more than $12,000 a year in taxes.
We can make it 6 and then increase the taxes on your ass. Yeah. If a person is just earning 70,000, 6,000 for the government, and then, here's the thing. They don't have to give the taxes to the government as charity. You can use some services like water or electricity with a better quality to make them feel like their taxes are not wasted. You know?
Does that really make...
You can reduce the taxes, at the same time you can provide services that makes the tax worth paying. If you make a system like that, people will be more willing to pay more taxes.
Sense? So people talk about, making the tax system more progressive. How about we start by having the nurse...
This is genuinely a distraction. It is a way to just say there's no increase of
I'm not going to pay more taxes. Let's just remove the taxes from the lower and lower working people. You know, lower wage people. It's so stupid. It's they selection like this. It sounds good and fair, but he never gonna address the consequences.
Taxes, right? You will never have an increase in taxes, which means...
Because here's the thing. He will remove the taxes in the lower wage people, and then they will immigrate. Many people will come over there because there is no taxes for the lower wage people in America, right? And then this guy will hire them and exploit them. It's just an unending cycle. This guy, this is a demon. In this demon's mouth, anything that comes out will be more profitable for this demon.
He's never getting his taxes.
It's a bald demon.
He knows, look, billionaires, they're not the smartest, but they obviously exercise their self-interest quite a bit. And they're smart enough to recognize that right now there is tremendous appetite to not only tax these guys, but maybe even punish them, right? And to be fair, chipping away at their net worth even a little bit is the biggest punishment of all time. You might as well throw them in prison at that point from their perspective. So they recognize that there is a real appetite for this, and people are saying it, right? People are demanding it. And some politicians, like Bernie Sanders, are leaning into those demands. So what do? You pull off the ripcord and you lean into, how about no taxes for people making less than $100,000? How about that? Don't you think that's a better way to help the working class? No, the best way to help the working class would be to tax you, motherfucker. We arrived at this problem because we have been slowly but surely chipping away at taxes.
See?
Of course, Elon Musk and you know.
Like, you are willing to tax the Twitch streamers 50% of their income, right? You little bitch. How about you are willing to pay 50% of your profit? Huh? It's not only the big streamers like Hassan have to pay 50%. A small streamer like me with 4 viewers have to pay the exact 50% of my income to Amazon. How about you can reduce? How about you can do the same with your profit? So this is what I mean. You know? Like, it's like if something red comes out of us, it's just a tomato sauce. But if something comes red out of them, it's just blood for them.
Elon Musk is in agreement.
You know,
with
it's
Jeff
just a
Bezos.
famous Tamil comedy that
I know.
Queens not pay taxes. Why is somebody at all? Why is a nurse in Queens who makes $75,000 a year paying more than $1,000 a month in taxes? That's $1,000 a
Yeah, where does this $1,000 goes? Is she getting any electricity back, or is she getting any better medicine, or is she getting any better public school education, or is she getting water services? Is she getting housing services? Nothing. You know? Where does this $1,000 per month go? People are willing to pay it. It's not a big deal. They've been paying it. You know? It's not like we're not willing to paying it. They have been paying it for the past eons. But where does this money go? This is a problem in India too. India capitalism is also a big issue. But where do you think India is learning this from?
that could help with rent or groceries or anything.
Like, think about that.
So, and by the way, do you know what that all adds up to? The bottom half of income earners in this country pay only 3% of the taxes. So, it's only 3%. Okay. We can find 3%. So we don't have, it's a small amount of money.
Yeah, we can find the 3% of your ass.
And really, and the more I thought about it, to me, it's kind of absurd that we're doing this. You know, we shouldn't be asking this nurse in Queens to send money to Washington. They should be sending her an apology. It really makes no sense.
Okay, but then on the other end, the question is, should you be paying higher taxes to pay for the 3% component part of this that you think is going to need to be paid for, if not more than that, given the debts we have?
It's certainly a perfectly valid policy debate to say, do we want an even more progressive tax system? So You know, the kind of the line that gets quoted all the time is, the wealthy should pay their fair share.
Look at the wording again. It's a polity debate to say it to tax this guy more, but it is a great idea to remove the taxes from the lower end people. Like, you see that they're double standard right there? For him, it's a debate. But from removing the lower end people, it's just it's a great idea for him.
Right. And we can argue about what
a deceiving bitch.
is. That's a policy debate. That's okay. But the vilification is the thing that's just the distraction. And by the way, if you really are being honest about it, we don't have a revenue problem in this country. We already have the most progressive tax system in the world. The top 1% of taxpayers pay 40% of all the tax revenue. The bottom half pay only 3%. We have already, and I think it should be 0. I don't think it should be 3%. I think it should be 0. So we'd be making it more progressive that way. We actually have...
Yeah. It's not even sneaky. He's just straight up saying there's no world where taxes get increased for people like myself. But he also knows that there's unlimited appetite by Americans to cut taxes even further, which of course, once again, is the never ending cycle of destroying the existing social safety nets. And lo and behold, the destruction of social safety nets and the state comes along with wonderful new profit opportunities. It comes along with privatization. So you advocate for more tax cuts. Not only does this benefit you personally, right? Even if you're not getting any tax cuts as a billionaire, you've gotten the unlimited tax cuts, which, by the way, for Jeff Bezos, I mean, what the can you tax? Let's be real. I mean, his W-2 form is like 70 grand, okay? He doesn't actually make money off income. That's not a thing. He has assets. He has ownership over Amazon. And then he uses that asset as leverage to go and get incredibly cheap loans that he never actually ever has to pay, right? And every now and then you can get
so he can use that money tax free. Oh my god, billions in Amazon stock, billions, wants billions in Amazon stock. Instead of selling it and then paying taxes, he takes out loans using the stock as collateral. Loans are not considered a taxable income, so he can use that money tax-free. There is a book called The Rich Guy, The Poor Dad. There is one guy that's been yapping this for a while. And that guy's whole system is like this. Have an asset, take a loan for that asset, use that loan to buy another asset, and then use that money that is collected by that asset to pay the first loan. You see? And then use the profit from the first asset to pay the second asset.
Him of a payout.
And then if it goes to bankrupt, he could just give the asset to them. So he is not losing anything.
When he has to pay the interest on the loans that he's taken, right? Obviously, he can't default, right? So, because if he does default, then, they can seize his assets. It's never going to happen. So every now and then he'll liquidate something. And in that process, then he pays a little bit of tax. But that tax is obviously still a lower percentage than the tax he would pay for straight income. There's that part too. And ultimately, it's nothing. Is nothing. In the grand scheme of things, it's nothing. This process is called buy, borrow, die. What did this guy say? How do people listen to you and think you have a clue? What do you think his contribution to society is compared to yours? Well, my contribution to society is certainly not in the negative. I think Jeff Bezos' contributions are fairly negative. We got to unban guys like this. These guys are brilliant. You're licking billionaire Bean, dude. You're licking his bald head right now. And his balls. And his ass. Jeff Bezos is nothing without all the labor that allowed him to become a billionaire. There is no value without labor. Jeff Bezos was unbelievably and immensely lucky at numerous points in his life. I'm sure he worked hard, but you know who else works hard? A teacher, a nurse, probably a lot harder than Jeff Bezos ever did. Jeff Bezos does not work a billion times or 20 billion times harder than the average teacher or the average nurse does. He was, however, 20 billion times luckier than the average teacher or the average nurse, making the right decisions, being a
And then most likely they don't have any moral values whatsoever. Like people who love to exploit and then love to take advantage of other people will be more successful in this world right now. Like being honest and then being good is not profitable. Like straight up. It's just a fact. Like if you want to be honest and then be what do you got it? For the improvement of people, you will be fucking monk. Or you will be dead.
At the right time, being born into the right family. These are all unbelievably important factors in the success that people arrive at. Like
there is actually a story that you can literally sell your soul to the demon in order to get successful. These guys are like that.
He got a loan from his parents that's worth $100,000 to start his business, right? That's
like the system itself is just I don't know how this system came to be, but there are so many working class people, and then there is only a certain amount of the rich people in the world. I don't know how that system came to be, but it is a problem. Like the distance, like the differentiation between the billionaires, it's a billionaire. And he has multiple billions. What the fuck?
That's incredibly lucky, but what he made with that,
how is that even possible?
I think is far luckier. Because there are probably a lot of people who are who have that level of affluence in their family and don't become one of the richest people on the planet. I'm not discounting that. But I'm just saying that's not where the luck ends, right? Fortunate enough to be able to be born into a family that could loan him $500,000 in today's money. That's immensely fortunate. That's unbelievably fortunate. The point of the
and then the luck itself, it worked. Like his idea worked.
Thesis here is not.
That also is very lucky. Like there are so many delivery services that came before this guy. I think there is one thing called, I don't remember, there is a good name for it. It just completely got destroyed because of the Amazon.
Say, it's just luck. Who cares? It's to show you that meritocracy is simply a lie that people like Jeff Bezos and those who benefit from the system tell the working class. So they also feel like he deserves to have this level of wealth and power consolidated in the hands of the few, instead of harnessing the potential of those who weren't so fortunate, giving them a real opportunity to make world-changing technological improvements, discovery of novel chemical compounds and the like. We just keep them poor and broke and destitute, and we tell them, well, if you're poor, sorry, I guess you didn't work hard enough or smart enough. But I do really think some people like being cattle. And let's be real, it can be rewarding. Their ignorance is bliss at the end of the day. Because once you see this system's
I mean, you can have cattle like so many people in this world. The whole system is like that. The whole education system and the whole working class system is cattle. But at least you could have some generosity to fatten up the cattle before you send them to the slaughter. You don't have to milk them dry. What do you think? At least have the freaking heart to fatten them up a little bit. They're working their whole life just to survive. And then at the end, they just die without enjoying anything. Most people in the working class are like that. They cannot pursue their dreams because they worry that if they fail, like the working class people, the middle class people, they can have an opportunity to explore or have an opportunity to discover what they want in their life. But it's a one chance only. If they fail, in that business venture they go, or anything they try to do, it will take decades for them to recover from that. You know, they cannot go all in like this millionaires. This guy went all in because he had the opportunity. But what the hell is the middle class is going to do? They're fucked if they miss that opportunity or fail in that. So you have to win in this position, guaranteed, otherwise you are a goner. And these people who are in the higher monopoly will make sure you fail as well. That's why these people are villains. Not only you have very low chance of success, but these billionaires will actively hinder that success too. With their power, with their wealth, with everything they can do to suppress your success.
It's very hard to unsee it. It's very hard to go back to it. And one of the craziest parts about it is I think these guys like Jeff Bezos, they see it. They've taken the red pill. They know. They know how vicious this system is, but they're at the tippy top and they benefit from it.
Vicious.
And they know that in order to continue benefiting from it, they have to make sure that the masses are never conscious. They're never conscious of their class position. They're never conscious of the fact that these guys have designed the system in this way and want to maintain it. And the maintenance of this system is violence. There's no difference between if you're a working class, regular, stiff, everyday man working tirelessly to make ends meet, and you look at the system's design and you say, well, you know, these guys did work hard. They did work smart. They deserve it. And maybe one day if I work hard and smart, I will get there, or at least have a comfortable nest egg.
I mean, in most of the cases, these people did this past. Yeah, if they come up with the early, like for example, iPhone, like they come up with a smartphone very early in their time period, like 2009 by. There are so many other brands like Nokia tried to do that, but they couldn't compete. Same goes for NVIDIA, GPU. Same goes for Windows, software. So they reach so many people and then the competition exists, get obliterated. Same goes for Android. You know, there is at best we got 1 or 2. That's it.
The guys that think that way, the guys that engage in fealty for billionaires, millionaires, capitalism in general, they're in a way no different than the peasant that actually thinks.
It's not about money, you know, like it's about power and it's about the reach. Like Jeff Bezos has to be a billionaire so he can influence the whole world. You know, Amazon is available in India too, and it's one of the greatest delivery platform right here in India. And then he killed all of the competitions. We got Amazon, we got Flipkart. There are so many other competitions that were available like Snapdeal, and there is some other things that came out too. But the sheer competition from Amazon, the services they provided, because they have so much money, so they can waste away, literally, to kill the competition, and then they can do all the shady shit that they can want. So in order to kill your competition, you need wealth and power. So that's why they need to be a billionaire. You know? You gotta be a freaking demon when you are in hell. Otherwise, you are the one who get eaten
that God
first.
Did ordain the king. That God actually.
But does that justify their actions? Not exactly. Because inherently, the end doesn't justify the means. Maybe you did provide a good service in India with your delivery services, but at what cost? Exploitation of your workers, getting rid of them from their survival, which is, you know, people are willing to work for a decent amount of wages in your company, but you exploited them. You know? And now you are investing in AI to replace them altogether. You see? I don't know. When consumer dies, I don't know where they are going to sell all of these products they are manufacturing. It's an interesting topic. People can't afford any of these. If the consumerism dies completely, I don't know where these guys sell their stuff.
Responsible for why the did or different than the peasant that actually thinks that God did ordain the king, that God actually is responsible for why the king remains the king. No difference whatsoever. And I'm sure at the time when the peasantry was toiling the lands, there were probably plenty of people who would tell on their fellow peasants, their fellow serfs, tell on the Lord, tell them, "My lordship, they're stealing the grain, my lordship. They're taking it away from you. You must punish them, my lord." That's what you behave like when you tell me Jeff Bezos' contributions to society are immense. "My lordship protects me. He has my best interest in mind. He protects. And if he takes away more of my grain, it's for the overall good. This year, he took even less than last year. It's an objective improvement. How dare you speak out against our Lord?" That's it. That's what you're doing. I wonder what the medieval peasantry equivalent of "don't tread on me" guys was. You know, the libertarians, the free thinkers. I'm not sheep. The guys who in this day and age will be like, "I'm not sheep, but these billionaires, I mean, they worked real hard. What's the alternative? Communism? That's terrifying." What would be the alternative in medieval peasantry? Tavern owners, the mercantile class? Like, what is the equivalent of a rallying cry for a serf or a peasant that thought that they were actually free thinkers, but they were still servants? If we pray to our Lord, one day our Lord will yield tremendous bounty, right? We must give more back to our Lord. Our Lordship protects us. Would you defy God?
A spending problem. And that's a skills issue.
Well,
I mean, let me give you an example. The New York City school system.
Right.
They spend $44,000 per student. $44,000. That's 30% more per student than other big cities like Chicago, LA, and Boston. And it's 3 times more than Miami and Houston. And by the way, New York City doesn't get better outcomes.
But
So what this? Listen, let me just say, if we ran Amazon the way New York City runs their school system,
right,
your packages would take 6 weeks to arrive. We'd have to charge you a $100 delivery fee, and then when the package did finally arrive, it'd have the wrong item in it anyway.
Right.
We can't.
I think what you can do to improve your education is you need immigrants. Bring in for immigrants from other countries to teach your people, and then once they got proper education, you can uplift your whole society as a whole. You know, that's what the USA did before. You know, if you don't have the capacity to teach your students, you could bring in the teachers or the necessary instruments from other countries, and then improve your school and improve your education system and make it more affordable. That is the problem. It's not about the quality, it's about the affordability. That is problem with the USA right now. You know, crippling debt. You know, if you get slated to get a degree in America, you will be in a crippling debt for your whole life. We gotta change that.
That's a skills issue.
And then it will automatically change everything. It will improve the standard of living, it will improve the people's critical thinking, it will do everything you want. And then guess what? Your people itself is capable of do every work they want without needing the immigrants. So the immigrants will be way lesser because you don't need them anymore.
Issue, Andrew.
Or you don't have to be afraid of them anymore either.
Right. It's not about, it's just competence. I mentioned my optimism a minute ago, and we should definitely talk about that because I think
it's not about competence, it's about how much you are willing to exploit them.
there's so many people who are afraid that AI is going to take their job. I think that there's going to be a labor shortage.
Dog, first of all,
What
capitalism
the fuck?
necessitates that cities do run like businesses, and that's unironically the problem. Except if USPS didn't exist, the last mile delivery wouldn't exist, which Jeff Bezos relies on, because private delivery services don't have any obligation to deliver to routes that are hard to track. USPS, on the other hand, is not a profitable business. It's not supposed to be profitable at all, as a matter of fact, because it's supposed to work. That's why all these assholes rely on the U.S. Postal Service for their last mile delivery. UPS ain't going up the mountain. USPS is. Yeah, through rain or snow. The U.S. Postal Service is one of the best examples of a government-provided service that simply has to work. It can't exist as a profitable entity because many of the routes that they go down, where they deliver medicine, for example, no private company would ever do it because it's not profitable. And remember, these demons want to take that away too. They want to take that away too so they can privatize that too so they can make more money off that. And who gives a shit if poor people living in rural areas don't have anything, any service to deliver them these goods that they need to survive? It doesn't matter because these guys don't give a f. They only care about profit. It's that simple. The government has an obligation to take care of its citizens, at least in theory. And even in a capitalist government like the one that we live under, like the one that we exist under, there are still certain institutions that just have to work. The U.S. Postal Service is one of those institutions. One example I can use is Walmart, this behemoth that relies heavily on government subsidies, both tax breaks and tax benefits that they receive, and then also on top of that, welfare and food assistance that they rely on, that their own employees that they underpay can still use at Walmart. Now, when Walmart comes into town in places that are forgotten, people celebrate. They're like, oh, the price of food is going to be cheaper. This is going to be more cost effective. But what ends up happening is Walmart ends up sucking up the entire consumer base, and it kills all the local businesses in the neighborhood, all the mom and pop shops that have been around for...
That's the monopolization I was mentioning right there. Monopolization and manipulation, pretty
20,
much.
30, 40 years. But eventually, Walmart, when it's no longer as profitable, will just f*** off. So then what do? You lived in a town your whole life, and your parents lived there before you. There was a local grocery store that made things work. It wasn't the cheapest, but you knew the grocer, right? It was a small business. But then Walmart came around and knocked that business out because the business could not compete with the prices of Walmart. But when Walmart becomes unprofitable, they f*** off. Now your town is a food desert. Now your town doesn't have any options whatsoever. Now you have to go to the town over to a dollar store or another Walmart. Now you're spending more money on gas. Now there is an invisible cost, an additional cost. It's hurting your wallet all the same, even if the food prices were more costly in the local grocer that you could go to. Now you're paying even more money.
Nice. Thank you.
To go to the Walmart, that's a town over. Now you're spending more time on travel. These are the invisible ways that poor people get f***ed over because of...
And then if many people are doing that, you will get stuck in a traffic jam and then it will stress you out, which will degrade your effectiveness in your work you are doing. You know, it's not just a simple thing.
Capitalism, because of the interests of profits. That's how it works. But because it's a part of the system's design, and because many people have decided that it's the best possible system, is the only system that we can exist under, it's everything that we've ever known. And once again, like I said, because of the invisibility of it all, the invisibility of that cruelty, you seek out other reasons as to why you're experiencing this economic struggle. And then a guy that wears a red tie and a suit on the TV says, it's actually because...
of the immigrants. It's because of the immigrants. It's the Indians that's taking your jobs. It's the black people that are stealing your makeup. You know, it's the Jews. It's the Jews. It's the Bible. It's the Muslims. You know? What about the people that actually exploit your ass? What about Jeff Bezos? What about Walmart bitches? What about Elon Musk? No? Oh, it's not them. They are actually providing you so much value. Do you see this GDP? It's on the green, bucko. Our country is doing great. Do you see this GDP when the AI institute, everyone is just DGCing each other like a human centipede and then investing on each other and then trying to up your economy, for themselves and then show you a positive GDP. Yeah, it's not them. It's the Indians. It's the Jews. It's the Muslims. They are invading your country, raping your woman. If anyone mentions this, immediately put them in jail. If someone says these people are invading your country and raping a woman, that fucker is a Nazi. Just put him inside of the jail. That is the delusional shit people did 100 years ago to rile people up. That is the basic textbook riling people up. Do not listen to these retards. Right-wing people are retards, they are reactionary, they try to rile people up, and then at the end of the day, you just kill each other. Do not listen to these people.
We're taking...
Immediately, they just demonize you. It's not about they say this is a problem, you have to fix it. No. It's the Indians that are plaguing you. Like, what the fuck? The second you started demonizing other people, you are the problem.
All this money that exists out there in the ether, and we're spending it on scary brown people. We're spending it on transgenders.
Yep, that it is.
And then the other side, who you may have trusted at some point in time, is telling you, well, things aren't that bad. Things aren't that bad. We don't have to we'll maybe improve a little bit, but obviously we can't go after Walmart. We can't tell you the truth about what happened and why you're currently struggling. So we'll just tell you the other side is evil and bad and leave it at that. A lot of people look at that and go, okay, both of these guys. My life sucks. It's dog shit. Barely making ends meet. It, I'm not voting. Then there are others who hear the other guy with the red tie over the blue tie, and they go, that's a convincing argument. I am a little scared of brown people. They got salsa hips. They dance. I feel like my wife is quite fond of that Mario Lopez guy, and it's causing a lot of sexual frustration within me, sexual anxiety within me, and that's now translating to my lifelong loyalty.
Yeah, that the other Indian dude is more capable of doing my job better than me for more cheaper income. Oh no, the insecurity I have to hate them so I can feel better about myself. But that Indian dude that's coming over to my country is well more educated than me.
To the reactionary cause. I'm obviously, joking. It's not that simple, but I was just thinking, like, what's a Latino guy that someone in West Virginia would see on television and be frustrated by? And I feel like Mario Lopez is that guy. You know what I mean? New research suggests that the company makes the community.
Like the sheer fact people actually believe this itself is a problem. Like that is the thing I wonder, does here. The sheer fact that people over there actually believe this shit. But like it's insane. That indicator tells how dumber you guys gotten. Like you guys failed the history, I think. Like at least you don't have any education in the history. Throughout the history, this is what people did. To rile people up and then kill each other. That's what they did. It's so basic. This is the basic concept of what people do. Rich people do. They lie on poor people and then fight each other. Like it's so obvious how I don't know why people fail to see this.
Operates in poorer, even taking into account its famous low prices. Walmart imposes in the form of not only lower earnings, but also higher employment in the wider community. Outweigh the savings it provides for shoppers on the net. They conclude Walmart makes the places it operates in poorer than they would be had it never shown up at all. Sometimes consumer prices are an incomplete, even misleading signal of economic well-being. Yeah. Amazon works in an identical manner to Walmart. Both of these behemoths are obviously massive jobs providers. Some of the biggest hiring bodies in the United States of America. I think Walmart might be the biggest, or maybe it's the U.S. military, one of the two. I think Walmart literally might be the biggest. And they operate in the exact same way. They operate with predatory pricing. Walmart literally.
China National Petroleum Corporation
might be the biggest. And they operate in the exact same way. They operate with predatory pricing, where they price out all the competition and destroy it with one interest in mind. And
There it is. See, price out all the competition and Tesla it with one interest in mind to become monopoly, and then they increase the prices.
That is.
It literally happened in India. That's why I'm saying this. It's literally happened with the India telecom services. Jio did this. I don't say something that I don't experience, dude. I experienced this firsthand in my lifetime, so I'm just telling you what is going to happen over there. It's already happening. That's why you guys are fucked.
A monopoly, a monopoly in a locality, or a monopoly altogether. And once you're a monopoly, there are no more market factors that you have to abide by. You can raise the prices, you can lower the service, you can cut jobs, and you can cut tail at the end of the day if it's no longer profitable anyway. You can just close up shop and leave these communities behind. Destitute. No more jobs in the community. And worse, no more markets in the community. No more grocery stores. Yeah, this is true as well. When Amazon pays poverty wages, it forces their workers to rely on social safety nets, putting more of a financial burden on taxpayers, all while Amazon profits. We don't talk enough about how much taxpayers are forced to subsidize corporate profits in this country.
How this got into this point? I thought you guys are smarter. How this got into this level? What happened? I mean, this is an issue in all over the world. Capitalism is a big problem right now. But what the fuck happened? I thought you guys are smart, right?
It's true. Walmart employees needing food.
Unless you loved a lot of your white supremacy over everyone else. So what happened here? What happened?
Using EBT at Walmart is no less than company script. Yeah, so there is a difference there, though. It's instead of a company town and a company store, you now have the government subsidizing it. So at least there's like one other middleman. So there's plausible deniability. And that separation causes you to feel like you have some choice in the matter. And that separation makes it a lot harder to revolt. I've talked about the difference between neoliberal societies and societies that we would consider authoritarian, right? China versus the United States of America. Control still exists in both of these societies. Authoritarianism still exists in both of these societies, but the methods are different. The USSR had a very different, much more hands-on approach to controlling certain behaviors. But that hands-on approach is ever present. And that's why you know it exists. And that's why when it's failing, you know who to blame and you know where to revolt. Societies like China or even the USSR have to be far more responsive to the needs of the masses for this reason, because they don't have the same they don't have the same like neutralizing effect that the fallacy of choice provides for people in neoliberal societies. When the system has to constantly at gunpoint reinforce its power upon the people know that there is a main governing body that is an ever-present force upon them. That's the distinction between a company store that uses company script and company tokens that leads to revolution or leads to rebellion internally versus the Walmart system that currently engages in the exact same process, but they use the government instead. Does that make sense? That's why the four factory towns failed. That's why company towns failed. A video about how
capitalism is killing America.
People know directly who is responsible.
And why Jeff Bezos is a demon.
Whereas the welfare state under capitalism hides the collaborative nature between capital and the state. And as long as the state is responsible, you can throw a sequence of distractions in front of the public to say, oh, well, it's a Democrat that's at fault because they're gay and transgender. Or Democrats can turn around and say, look, these companies are still good, but maybe the Republicans are the real villains here, so you should vote for us. Neither party is effectively changing the reality for you. Neither party is actually punishing the corporations for engaging in this kind of cruelty, for robbing you blind, for forcing you to work in shittier conditions overall. Every now and then, of course, you get some technological improvements that make you feel like your life is improved, when in fact,
not to mention how expensive those technologies are, how expensive those technology gotten. Like, is iPhone is even affordable? Is iPhone or NVIDIA GPU or even RAM? Anything that is digital is now affordable? I can ask this question. Who's the reason for
There are
this?
certain markers for happiness, like financial security. There's a certain marker for financial security if it's like home ownership.
Okay, you don't need iPhones and GPUs, right? What about education? Or what about the food? What about the basic needs? What about housing? Who's responsible for all of this?
For example, you are further away from that marker of financial
You're just watching
security than-
quietly? This is a problem in every corner of the world, including India. Capitalism is gotten up to the point. It is a
than the
problem.
generations prior to you. But you got porn on your phone, you got gambling apps, okay? You got they've even commodified hope at this point. You can just literally turn a opportunity at upward social mobility into a process where they can extract more value from you. So you got the bread sometimes, and the circus
Because
is
I
all
joined
the
in the
time.
middle. You can
And
just
it
watch
keeps
my
you in a
wants or
drunken
something.
stupor. All the while, these people that have designed society
Why
this
the
way, or
subguru
at
so
least
you can,
benefit from it, get to laugh
rewind.
themselves at the bank. They get to go on television. It's part laugh themselves at the
Total family wealth about the white group. Top 10% over that. It's interesting how the bottom 50% is just flatlined. You see this? The middle 50 is not exactly doing that well, but the bottom 50%, womp womp.
bank. They get to go on television. It's part of the
Rewind and twist, too.
the success of capitalism has created.
Yeah, you can
a
rewind it
reality where
yourself,
these
I
guys
think.
don't even have to be philanthropists any longer. Like at least back in the day, robber barons had a sense of shame, if you will, where they knew that they had to be philanthropists to a certain degree.
As a result. So
let's go there then.
Yeah.
I wanted to stay in space, but let's go to that because
we can come back. We can be in space too, whatever you want.
Well,
Andrew.
but that's fascinating because I don't know if you saw Eric Schmidt gave a commencement address over the weekend.
Yeah.
And the students were booing because every
Stop
time you
booing
mentioned AI, they
Nah, take care of you
they're
first.
deeply fearful and worried about whether they're going to have a job.
Yeah. Well, and the reason they're afraid of that is because all these smart people keep saying that. So there are so many smart people, and they are smart, and they are saying, "Oh my God, there's going to be no more radiologists because, AI can read X-rays better than a radiologist can, and there are going to be no more software engineers because."
There are so many smart people are saying that AI is a problem. Maybe it's a problem, when the smart people that you yourself admitted says it's a problem. What the fuck? What is this gaslight, dude? So the smartest Nobel winning prize, Nobel Prize winner said AI is a problem. Maybe it's a problem,
AI can
dude.
program better than a software engineer can. These people are wrong. So what's really going to happen is that it's going to elevate all of these people, and there's going to. It's like you've been digging. Let's say you're a software engineer.
Right.
What it's the analogy I can give you is you've been digging out a basement for your house with a shovel, and somebody's about to hand you a bulldozer. You should be so happy if you're digging the basement to your house and somebody says, "Hey, how about this?"
That's the point, and that's the thing. You can phrase it like you were digging in a basement for your house with 10 people, but you just gave him a one bulldozer, so the 9 people get fired. You see how demonic that sounds when I phrase it like this? And then they're jobless because you gave him a bulldozer. What the hell they're gonna do?
I have a tool here that's going to, and what's really going to happen is we're going to have so much productivity in our economy that, for example, this is one of
Okay, so much productivity. So who are you going to sell that to? Aliens? Are you going to sell those your productivity, your products to who? People sure as hell can't afford it anymore. So who the hell are you going to sell it to?
In fact, a lot of people who have two earner income households,
Right.
one of the people is going to drop out of the workforce. That's why we're going to have a labor shortage.
They're not going to drop out. You're going to fire them. What? What is this dialogue, dude? You think they're going to drop out? You're going to fire them.
People, because of the productivity gains, you're going to be able to afford things.
Hello?
We're gonna have, I predict we'll actually have deflation of certain core, assuming we let this technology play out and don't, hamstring it with.
No, you are not going to help in a deflation in any way possible. You will throttle the manufacturing and then increase the prices or make the prices stay the same. That's what Nvidia did with their GPUs. Dude.
Regulation too early.
Oh, thank God. I mean, hopefully not. That would be terrifying.
What is this, dude?
Regulation is
what a demon. This guy's a demon.
Always hampering innovation, you know? Just let it run its course. This is also the point of billionaires promoting lowering tax for the poor, a band-aid to assuage revolt. Yeah, no, they just don't want you to even believe there is an opportunity or any value in increasing taxes for them or increasing taxes at all. They're fine if you pay no tax. They don't give a shit. Oh, okay. The government services are worse off. When is the last time this motherfucker used a government service? You know what I mean? Beyond like roads and shit. And if it gets to that, they'll go and yell at the government to fix it, and then the government will fix it. Right? He's already doing
they
AI
just fly over
podcasts.
it.
Wait, what? Amazon Premium Alexa service can now generate custom ad podcasts on demand. Turn any topic you're curious into a podcast episode ready in minutes. Wait, what? The Rise and Fall of Rome, the podcast? What the Dude, that's crazy. Dude, you know what's really funny? I just never stop thinking about the fact that all of the things that AI is doing are things that we were supposed to do. It's not doing any of the things that were supposed to lighten the burden of the labor force. All the route tasks, all the menial labor you have to do. And then when you go home on your journey home, if you're lucky enough to, ride a bus, if there's any public transit whatsoever, in your car when you're driving back, you listen to an AI podcast. We are literally serving the machines at that point. What the Google Notebook LLM has been doing fake podcasts for a year now? I don't understand it. It doesn't make any sense. Amazon AI podcast example here.
Today, our AI-generated shopping show is exploring the Wellmedix Rapid Relief Diaper Rash Cream. Emma, what makes this hospital-grade cream different from standard diaper rash products?
Well, it's gonna get you on a water.
This cream uses a dual action approach. Instead of just zinc oxide, it combines that with white petrolatum to create two protective barriers. This helps both treat existing irritation and prevent new issues from developing.
That's fascinating. So it's not just about treating the problem, but stopping it from coming back?
Exactly. And they've added
this is literally turning a podcast into a Twitch stream. Oh my God. And the questions are the same. The questions are the same. This is literally the type of question that a dumb would ask me in the chat.
Really thoughtful ingredients like calendula and white birch bark extract. These botanical ingredients help soothe sensitive skin, while the dual barrier does the heavy lifting.
All right, Katie, we've got you. You're dealing with discomfort, and this cream is designed for exactly that kind of irritation. Emma, what can you tell them?
This is actually formulated for adults.
Alright, I'm gonna go get my dinner. Once I'm back, we could And that is one good video I want to watch.
It's got
The American Empire by that was the video I didn't finish off that.
49%
I could watch that once I'm back.
To create
It's like a 1 hour video.
That shields irritated skin while helping with redness and discomfort. Customers mention it works well.
Oh my God. Oh,
Alright, be right
God,
back.
So
Alexa Sutter is taking a break. Give me 1 second. I'm gonna pull up the video. Say later. Hello. What's up? How we doing?
Is that Trump is just creating enough chaos.
Mike?
For America to transition. When the Democrats come to power, if they come to power, they will institutionalize this strategy. And we know this as a possibility because in Trump's first term, he changed America's strategy around the
Are we
world.
playing today?
And
We
then
are
when
playing a
Biden came
video.
into power, he then institutionalized
But why the thought
the
what
strategy,
is gonna happen? We haven't watched
via
that.
China, right? So it was
Pretty
Trump who
educational, I would
launched
say.
this tariff war against China, and then Biden comes in power and institutionalizes it, right? So I think World War III
Why
is a
is that a
much
BS?
more long-term war of attrition, and I don't think that this war will end anytime soon.
You've made a series of new predictions. You've made 8 new predictions.
Okay.
I have them in this box here.
Okay.
I'll let you reveal what those predictions are.
Okay. This is one prediction.
I'm in it, yeah.
Okay, so this is the most controversial prediction, okay? I predict that there will be a U.S. Civil War and Trump will get a 3rd term.
You think Trump will get a 3rd term? Isn't that constitutionally illegal?
There are things that are unconventional and immoral.
Watching for the one?
Wrong and
It affects
evil
the
and
whole
dangerous.
global.
And there are certain things that are illegal. Trump getting a 3rd term is not illegal. So let me explain the loophole. What Trump could do is this, okay? There are 2 possibilities. The first possibility is in 2028, he has his son, Don Jr., run as the president, and he runs as the vice president. And then when Don Jr. wins, if he wins, then Don Jr. could abdicate and Trump would be the president. And in the Constitution, if you read the Constitution very carefully, it doesn't actually prohibit people from doing that. It's not been done in the past. And like no sane person with any morality would do this. But that doesn't stop Trump from doing this, okay? That's one possibility. Another possibility is that by 2028, America is at war with everyone. There's a national draft. The president now has emergency war powers. And so he can actually suspend the Constitution and delay the election, which is what Zelensky did in Ukraine. So these are 2 different possibilities. But I think that given Trump's track record, given his personality, I think he very much wants a 3rd term. And I think that he will do everything possible to get a 3rd term.
He would turn 83 years old in the same year that he finishes his 2nd term.
This is a man who eats McDonald's hamburgers every day.
Let's not promote violence.
Yet, on the campaign trail, he's able to go to 2 rallies a day. And in each rally, just 50,000 people. And he will talk on and on and on. Then at night, when he should be sleeping, he's either on Truth Social, tweeting about the world, or he's calling up reporters and telling him or her some confidential information that he really shouldn't be discussing with the media. This is a man who is addicted to attention. This is a man who loves the spotlight. He's lived all his life in the spotlight. For him, death is to be ignored. So, given his personality, he would rather die in office than live somewhere else.
And of those two strategies that you named, where he puts his son in and then becomes president that way, or there's a war breaks out, so he says he has to stay in office. Of those two strategies, which one do you think he's more likely to deploy?
I actually think that given his narcissism, he would prefer the first strategy.
His putting his son in.
Because that shows himself in the world that America loves him.
Okay. And it could also be J.D. Vance or someone else, right? It doesn't have to be his son necessarily.
Trump does not trust anyone. Trump has never had a protege. In fact, everyone that's really worked for Trump has been kind of screwed over by him.
Do you not think that if his son decided to run and then announced that the vice president was his dad, do you not think that there would be such a huge backlash in the United States that his son wouldn't win?
Well, I think there's a possibility that they figure out how to cheat in 2028.
Oh, as in actually cheat at the election?
Right. So
at the poll booth.
Right. So let's go into Trump's mind. All right. His psychology. In his mind, he won in 2020. The people voted for him. But the Democrats stole the election with mail-in ballots and by rigging the election machines. Okay. He in his mind, he believes that. So in his mind, he believes that this is actually his third term. And the people and the government, they owe him a second term, which is what he wants now. He wants compensation for having the election stolen from him in 2020.
I find it really, really implausible to think that Trump would run for a third term.
So again, this is a prediction.
Yeah.
And it is a test of the validity of my theoretical framework.
I was looking at some of the constitutions and the laws, and it
You're
says
doing
that
bad way? No, I'm not in the was.
explicitly
I'm in
states
India,
no
dude.
person shall be elected to the office of the president more than
I'm
twice.
just wondering, interested
Some
in it.
theorists have
See
tried to
what's
argue
really
that
going
since
on.
the amendment says elected, a person might be able to serve a third term if they were appointed to succeed to the role.
Exactly.
If they were appointed or succeeded to the role, e.g. by being vice president first. Legal scholars and the Judicial Committee almost universally reject this. The 12th Amendment requires that anyone serving as vice president must be eligible to be president. Since a two-term president is ineligible to be elected again, they are legally barred from being vice president.
So the point is, there's nothing
Think
explicit in the Constitution
What is think school?
that bars someone from having a third term.
Mm-hmm.
And there's debate in the legal community about the spirit of the 22nd Amendment.
It would go to the Supreme Court, right?
And the Supreme Court is controlled right now by the conservatives. Trump appointed 3 of the 9 justices, and there's a possibility he gets a 4th later in the year. So it's entirely up to the Supreme Court whether or not he can run. And again, there's something explicit in the Constitution that forbids him from running as a vice president.
Okay. What's your next prediction?
My second prediction is there will be a grand bargain between the United States and China.
What does that mean?
It means that people expect that the United States and China will go to war at some point over Taiwan. It means a lot of people expect that China wants to challenge American hegemony and replace America as the global superpower. But China does not want to do that. China's probably happy with America being the world's hegemon because you have to invest so much of your resources into fighting these wars that back up your nation. China doesn't want to fight these wars.
No,
So
I don't
what
think they
China is
will.
going to do is try to triangulate between Russia and the United States. This is what happened during the Cold War. When China was not actually on the side of the Soviet Union, China was part of the non-aligned community. And that's what China is going to strive for in World War III, where China may help out Iran, may provide financing for Russia, but it's also going to strike deals with the United States as well. Okay, so I think that Trump and President Xi are supposed to meet at least 3 times, possibly 4 times this year, only this year. The first will be in mid-May in Beijing.
China through.
And I think that
It's already happened.
Process
this video is a word.
China and America come to an arrangement that benefits both economically. What does America want? America wants China to continue to buy U.S. treasuries in order to finance the American debt. What does China want? China wants energy, resources from the Western Hemisphere, and it wants to access the American market. So there's no reason why China and America cannot come to an arrangement that benefits both. And Trump is very much a transactional character.
And what will that mean for the world?
It means that China is not really part of World War III in a meaningful way.
Okay, so they're going to do a deal. They'll continue to work together as friends.
China will be friends with both Russia and the United States as Russia and the United States fight each other.
Okay. What's your next prediction?
Kind of like India.
Iran is another forever war, and the United States will institute a national draft.
Iran is another forever war, and the United States will institute a national draft. So you think Iran as a war is going to tumble on for decades, and that the US are going to draft people, which means you're obliged to go and fight.
Exactly. Okay. So the logic is this. America doesn't really care if Iran is defeated or not. That's not really part of the American grand strategy. Iran right now, it's a perfect pretext for America to expand outwards and establish maritime choke points around the world and to force the world to buy American energy. So this war in Iran benefits America tremendously. So why not have it go on for a long, long time? In order to make sure this war goes,
I think it's because of the loss of trust in the fiat currency that America had. And then people are trying to use their own currency and then go on there. I think that's why America is trying to take over these places and try to be in the market.
You need ground troops. And you need a lot of ground troops. And that's why you need a national draft.
So what would a national draft look like in the United States? Everyone between the age of 18 and 25 has to sign up to the army.
Right. So most people don't appreciate this, but America has always had a draft. But for the longest time, it didn't really care whether or not you actually sign up for the draft. And starting in December, participation in the draft will be automatic, meaning that if you're between 18 and 24 in America and you're male, you'll be automatically put into the draft system.
From when?
I think from December.
Yeesh.
This year?
Yes, that is correct, yes.
So between the age of 18 and 25, you think, and what does that really mean? Well, I've not really experienced that in my lifetime. So it means that if you're between the age of 18 and 24, either gender?
No, male.
Male, then you have to sign up for the army.
No, you are already put into a draft.
Oh, you're already, okay, but you might be called upon.
That's right. It's a lottery system.
Okay.
Right. And this created a lot of backlash during the Vietnam era. And so they sort of toned it down. But starting in December, they just passed a law that says that starting in December, you will be automatically registered for
They've passed a law.
Yes, they have. Well, in theory, Congress first needs to declare war.
Okay, fine.
Right? That's a first step. And Congress has not actually declared war yet.
Okay. So you think there'll be a draft, and you think this war in Iran is going to trickle on for...
But it sounds unbelievable. I think it's going to happen.
Years, like Afghanistan, or?
I don't see it stopping.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's next?
This is a speculation, by the way. Okay. It's right going to happen.
Okay.
I mean, there is a good chance it might happen.
The world will move towards an AI surveillance state.
I feel like that's already happening.
I think it's pretty obvious. Yeah.
What does that mean in reality for the average person? Because, you know, we're seeing some of these big companies like OpenAI and Anthropic all sort of signing up to government military surveillance projects. What does that mean for the average person?
Right. So for the average person, it means two things. It means digital ID and digital currency.
Okay.
So what that will allow is for the government to basically monitor everything you do online and control all financial transactions.
You pull up birth from my apartment, yeah.
Your bank account. So like you can't buy cigarettes or you can't buy drugs. And this will allow the government to basically categorize everyone and put everyone into a certain database to monitor that person. And once you're able to categorize everyone, you are able to use AI to predict their behavior.
Isn't this what goes on in some parts of the world?
This is what goes on in China. And that's how I know about this.
How does it work in China?
Well, in China, we all have digital ID. If you want to access anything in China, you need your digital ID. So if you want to open a bank account, you have to use a digital ID. If you want to use any e-payments, you have to use digital ID. If you want to use a phone, you have to use digital ID. Okay, so everyone's part of this national database.
What's that about in India? What the hell?
Allows government to do is basically monitor everything you do, because basically, depending on how you buy things, I can then extrapolate to figure out your behavior.
Email? No.
And then I can
This
figure out your
is different.
thinking, right? And then I can create incentives in order to guide and control your behavior.
So in China, can they see everything that you do?
Yes, they can.
Messages you send,
everything,
payments you make,
everything. Everything you do online is being recorded and it's being inputted into the database to figure out who you are, what you want, and how to control you. And they think this is progress, by the way. This is progress because I'm making you a better person, right? I'm helping you achieve your dream. I'm helping you lose weight. I'm helping you avoid drugs. I'm helping you work harder.
Won't you be in trouble if you talk against this system?
Well, me personally. Okay, so I operate in a gray area where I do not interact with the Chinese internet. So everything I do is in English. It's meant for consumption in the Western world. And I don't talk to Chinese reporters. I don't talk to Chinese social media. I have no Chinese media presence. And I am not at all influential in China. And I prefer that way because if I ever became famous in China, then they would obviously want to control me in order to better influence other people.
What's your next prediction?
What?
Israel will achieve the Greater Israel Project.
So you think Israel are going to conquer the Middle East?
Israel has essentially already conquered the Middle East. The only force in their way right now is America. So once America leaves the Middle East, which I expect to happen, then Israel will absorb CENTCOM, which is the Central Command, the American military bases in the Middle East, and they will achieve the Greater Israel Project. There's no other power in the Middle East that can withstand the might and power of Israel.
And do you have a timeline for this?
The moment America quits this war against Iran,
come on, do something.
The Middle East, Israel will achieve the Greater Israel Project. And what's really interesting right now is that Israel's trying to drag this war out for as long as possible because they see this war as a way to destroy all its major enemies in the Middle East. You know, the Israelis have already said this. After Iran, Turkey is next. Turkey is next. This war is already destroying Saudi Arabia and the GCC, right? So the last opponent is...
I mean, if USA fights Israel's wars for them, I think USA will become weaker in terms of military power. So I think it does make no sense that Israeli project could be possible. But I think America is not that dumb. That is in one day if people vanish, petrol dalan.
Turkey. Once Turkey is brought into this war, then Israel will achieve the Greater Israel Project.
And the Greater Israel Project covers all of this region here from Turkey, Egypt, Yemen, Oman.
So the Greater Israel Project is like this, okay? So it
The
goes from
against
the Nile in Egypt to the Euphrates in Iraq. And it covers part of Turkey, all of Syria, all of Lebanon, all of Jordan, and parts of Saudi Arabia, which also includes
isn't that
Mecca
of
and
the
Medina.
whole oil resources
What
of
is
the
your
whole
next
world?
prediction?
NATO and Russia will fight for Odessa.
Odessa? What's Odessa?
Okay. So if you look at the Ukraine front lines, right now, Russia is preoccupied in trying to control the Donbass, which is basically eastern Ukraine. Why Russia is doing this is that
Russia
eastern
big.
Ukraine has historically been part of Russia. Therefore, most people there speak Russian, are ethnically Russian. The Donbass is also the agricultural and industrial heartland of Ukraine. So if Russia were
Emilio,
to
hello.
control
How are you doing?
eastern Ukraine, it doesn't really need
How's
Western
your
Ukraine.
day?
And then Western Ukraine would basically become a rump state. It'd be useless, right? So the last piece to this puzzle would be Odessa, which sits on the Black Sea. The reason why you want Odessa is that it's the major port. And once you control Odessa, you basically block off Ukraine from the Black Sea. You have complete control over the Black Sea.
The Black Is that the Black Sea?
This is the Black Sea, and this is
Genshin?
Odessa right here. Yes.
No,
so
I'm
you're saying
thinking
that
of like I just
Russia
finished it
will
yesterday.
Take Odessa.
I'm watching video down.
Okay, so they'll control the Black
But
Sea.
I do play
That's
Genshin,
right.
yes.
But NATO recognizes that if Odessa falls to the Russians, the war is over. And Russia will have achieved all its major strategic objectives.
Probably can you say the title to just starting?
Because Russia doesn't want to continue on after Odessa. It doesn't need
that's what
the
it
rest
wants.
of Ukraine.
What does it get from taking Odessa?
Once it takes Odessa, control of 1/3 of the world's carbohydrates. If Russia wielded, Africa would starve to death. The Middle East would starve.
Why?
Because Russia and Ukraine export a lot of grain to these places. These places are not food independent. They rely on fertilizer. They rely on food imports.
Okay. And Russia's using the Black Sea here to export.
Exactly.
Okay. What is your next prediction?
This is the last one. Please be good. Okay. I was hoping for an optimistic one, but East Asia breaks out into conflict.
Okay, what do you mean by that?
Okay.
Yes.
So we've talked a lot about the Middle East, and we've talked briefly about Europe, okay? So now let's go into East Asia. And I think there are three major sources of friction and conflict in East Asia. And these could be potentially major flashpoints.
Which one is that?
The first
Japan,
flashpoint
maybe?
is, of course, over Taiwan. Because China believes that
There we go, Taiwan
is part of its territory. And so it wants to take over Taiwan. Now, the problem with this is that recently, Prime Minister Takahashi of Japan has said that Taiwan is core to Japanese strategic interests. And what she means by this is that Japan has no resources. It's a manufacturing power that depends on resources from overseas. If China were to take over Taiwan, it can now block Japan from accessing the Strait of Malacca. And that is a possibility Japan cannot permit. So Japan would fight to ensure that Taiwan and China were never to unify.
Would they actually?
Oh.
Because China's so strong, right? Can they just knock Japan straight out?
Japan has no choice but to fight. Because again, if China and Taiwan were to unify peacefully, Japan would be cut off from the entirety of Southeast Asia. And Japan relies on Southeast Asia historically for resources.
Why would it be cut off from Southeast Asia? Can't it just go down here through the Philippines?
There's a lot of resources around the South China Sea.
Okay.
Right? Oil, minerals, all that. Yeah. So if China and Taiwan were to unify, basically Japan would feel a bit threatened.
And your prediction is that there will be some kind of conflict in this region?
Yeah, so that's the first flashpoint, okay? Taiwan. There's another flashpoint, which is Strait of Malacca, right? Because again, America wants to control the Strait of Malacca, but China recognizes that the Strait of Malacca is key to its economic survival. And so there's been a lot of conflict over the Strait of Malacca, okay? That's flashpoint number 2. The third flashpoint, which I think will be the most surprising, but actually will be the most pressing, is North Korea. Okay, so let's just use game theory.
Yep, there we go. North Korea.
We are the leader, supreme leader of North Korea.
One of the things I said, North Korea. I think I said Japan too. And then I said the Taiwan. I kind of nailed it.
It's a dictatorship. Everyone worships me. It's a cult of personality. But we're poor. And the rest of the world is in conflict, right? Europe is fighting with Russia. The Middle East is in flames. America's distracted trying to control the world to the best of its ability. Japan and China are fighting over the South China Sea. If you're North Korea, now is the best opportunity to create as much havoc in the world as possible. There's absolutely nothing anyone can do to stop you. You are
what are they going to do?
the brawler
Are they going to
in high
attack South
school
Korea?
that no one pays attention to, but because all the big boys are fighting each other, you can come in and dominate the school now.
Who would they be dominating?
They could dominate South Korea. Because if you just look at
Oh my God.
a population map of South Korea, most of the South Korean population is located in Seoul, and Seoul is about 20 minutes artillery from North Korea.
North
So in
Korea
20
is probably
minutes,
China. They would die.
North Korea could rain
Without China,
artillery
bro.
onto Seoul in like basically a day, flatten the entire city. Why wouldn't you extort the South Koreans?
Because the South Koreans are going to shoot back?
With what?
Do they not have military?
They're being protected by the Americans right now, and the Americans are busy transporting artillery and weapon systems, including the THAAD system, over to the Middle East. It's called THAAD, THAAD. It used to be in South Korea to protect against North Korea, and now it's over in the Middle East. So Americans are cannibalizing both South Korea and Japan in order to maintain this war in the Middle East. Now's the time.
Dude, he's so happy saying
it's
this.
free money. It's like taking candy from a baby.
But he is enjoying
But
this,
South
isn't
Korea
he?
have their own military, no?
How do you defend against artillery strikes?
I don't know.
You don't.
But they would fire back, right? They'd get themselves into a pretty ugly war. South Korea have a big military.
Well, my people are poor. They're not afraid to die. In fact, I've sent thousands of them to go to Ukraine to fight for the Russians, and they fight to the death because they're poor and they don't fight to the death. If they're allowed to be taken prisoner, I'll kill all their families back at home. South Koreans are rich. They are used to democracy. They're used to individual rights. So if I threaten to blow your city up, you're telling me you won't bribe me not to do so? Isn't the fastest, quickest way is to bribe me not to cause trouble for you?
Okay, so you think they're going to bribe them?
Extortion.
Okay.
This is extortion. I don't need to destroy South Korea. All I need to do is basically threaten the South Koreans, and they'll just bribe me not to do anything.
So what does all of this stuff mean for the average person? You know,
Yeah, what this guy convinced me to move to Antarctica,
not all of them, but a lot of them are just normal people getting on with their lives, and they care about their families, their jobs, their futures. What message have you got for them?
In this new world, we will need...
I think with the amount of fascism and racism that's going on in America, there is a good chance America will resort to some extreme measures. But I'm not sure about how the things are in other countries. You know? I think India is kind of turning into fascism as well. Many countries that I am noticing are turning into that. So I think there is a possibility. Could they are foolish enough to do that? It is a chance. He said it's a game theory. Theory is just a speculation until it's proven.
Leaders. We will need average people who are able to bring hope to people around them, who are able to tell their neighbors, their friends.
Character is what,
We
girl?
have to come together as a community and become a family if we are to survive. That's what the world needs in the future. It will need entrepreneurial leaders. It will need visionaries. It will need prophets. Those who will most thrive are those who make an effort to reach out, knock on the door of your neighbors and say, listen, there's a blackout and there's probably no water, but don't fear, because if we come together as community, if we go and knock on everyone's doors, then everyone in this apartment building, and there might be 100 of us, if we just sit down and have a meeting and just discuss what's happening, one of us will come up with a solution. And one of us will help everyone else figure out how to find water or how to build a better society. And we know this because historically, this has always been true. When empires collapse, infrastructure collapses.
Which empire do you think is collapsing? The United States empire?
The United States empire is collapsing, yes.
And who is taking its place?
No one can take the place of the American empire. So we live in a unipolar moment. And the closest historical analogy to today is something called the Bronze Age collapse.
The Bronze Age?
The Bronze Age collapse. And this happened about over 3,000 years ago. And what happened during the Bronze Age collapse is that you have these established kingdoms throughout the Middle East and Europe. You have Mycenaean Greece.
Okay.
You had the Hittite Empire in Anatolia, which is present-day Turkey. You had the Mesopotamian Empire. You had the Egyptians. And one by one, they collapsed. The reason why was that a perfect storm of calamities came at the same time. There were earthquakes, there were famines, there was a climate crisis, there were wars, there were civil wars, there were revolutions. And so you had this massive surge of refugees called the Sea Peoples flowing from North and West Europe and sweeping food to the entire Middle East. And the reason why is they were hungry. They didn't have any food to eat. So they organized into these large pirate armies, and they overwhelmed entire civilizations. And so we will see a very similar dynamic play out in the world, where in the future, our concern won't be wars. Our concern will be these millions of refugees who want to flood into our societies because they're hungry. And they're going to come from Africa. And they're going to come from the Middle East. They'll probably come from South America as well. So I saw your show with Steve King, by the way. Steve Keen.
Yeah.
It was a great show, right? And he talked about this, where, look, the world depends on fertilizer.
Mm-hmm.
Where does India stand on this?
Without fertilizers, the world can only sustain at most 2 billion
I think
people.
India is kind of self-sustainable. If food is not a problem for us.
What are people going to do? Just starve to death? No, they're going to
We have fertile land here.
And they're going to want food.
Hopefully.
And it's going to create a huge global crisis throughout the
So
world.
whatever it does to a person.
I mean, one might argue that with the rise of things like AI and robotics,
We
the
don't
cost of
matter. He
production
didn't
is
even
gonna
make
drop,
sure
and
still
there's gonna
what's
be more,
true.
You know, Elon talks about the
I mean, it's a good possibility India could be regressing in terms of technology, but food is not a problem for us. I don't think so. Because my state, I'm from Tamil Nadu, right? It's primarily an agricultural state. With a really fertile land. I hope there won't be a problem, let's see. But it will be more prone to invasion, though.
And all these kinds of things.
But you have to grow food out of the ground. And you are using fertilizer to maximize the land's capacity to grow food. So you don't have fertilizer.
Survived for more than 5,000 years, true.
They don't have to eat food. We have to eat food.
So what is your, you talked about hope.
They don't have capacity to grow food. Are using fertilizer to maximize the land's capacity to grow food. So you don't have fertilizer. You can have as many robots as you want. They don't have to eat food. We have to eat food.
So what is your, you talked about hopefulness.
Right.
Are you hopeful?
I'm very hopeful.
What are you hopeful for?
I believe that humans are first and foremost creative, and resilient. And our abilities have become dormant because we've become too complacent. Western lifestyle have made us extremely lazy and fat. But the moment we're presented with a crisis, the moment that we find our families in danger, we're able to come together as a people and come up with all this tremendous imagination in order to make a better society.
Make sure you keep what I'm about to say to yourself.
Fair enough.
I'm inviting 10,000 of you to come even deeper into the Diary of a
I mean,
CEO.
I am from one of
Welcome to
the
my
states
inner
that does
circle.
that on a
This
daily
is
basis.
a brand new private community that I'm launching to the world. We have so many incredible things that
I'm
happen
right-wing
that you
capitalist,
are
so that
never
is so
shown.
that's
we have
my
the
bias.
briefs that are on my iPad when I'm recording the conversation.
You are a
We
right-wing?
have clips
I am
we've
kind of
never
leaning
released.
towards
we have
left.
behind-the-scenes conversations with the guests and also the episodes that we've never, ever released.
Because
And
I think my whole
much more. In the circle, you'll have direct access to
existence
me.
is to
You can
for the
tell us what
people.
you want this show to be, who you
We
want us
need
to
people
interview, and the
to
types of conversations you would love us to have.
accomplish
But
things.
remember, for now, we're only inviting the first 10,000 people
So
that
at
join
the expense
before
of
it
people,
closes.
nothing matters.
So if you want to join our private closed community, head to the link in the description below or go to doaccircle.com. I will speak to you there. Professor, what's the most important thing we haven't talked about that we should have talked about?
So let's talk about the nature of reality. To explain the nature of reality, I'm going to explain.
I mean, they didn't exactly
Plato's
accomplish
Allegory of the
anything, so
Cave, which he talked about in his book, The Republic. Right, exactly.
that's
This
one
book,
of the
yes,
reasons
The
that
Republic,
they were
okay?
able to
One of the masterpieces
send food in
of
Tamil
Greek
Nadu.
civilization as well as Western civilization. All right,
And
so
mention
this
the
is how
fascism they
Plato
do.
explains the nature of reality. And so he uses a metaphor called the cave. So I want you to imagine a dark cavern that is huge. And in this cavern, there are hundreds of people lined up
That
together.
was your source there.
And
What do you
they're all
choose?
sitting in a row.
Nah,
And this
I don't
goes
want to
on
argue.
For, miles and miles, just thousands of people.
I'm good.
And they are chained to the ground. And their necks are shackled, so they can't actually move. And all they can do is stare in front of them at a giant wall that's empty. Okay? Now, behind these people, and again, they can't see behind them, right? It's a great fire. Alongside this fire are people, okay? We don't know who they are. Plato never explains who these people are. They take puppets, and they project these puppets off the fire onto the wall. Okay? And when people see these shadows, they think that this is reality. And as such, they begin to create narratives to explain this reality. They create language. They give shadows names. They explain where these shadows come from. They create religion. Then these people decide to specialize. So some people who are priests who explain this new religion. There's some people who are poets that talk about the beauty of these shadows. And then you have teachers who teach about these shadows to children. And then over time, what happens is that these people fall in love with this reality so that they are addicted to it. So if anyone comes on and says, hey guys, why don't you look behind you and see it's all just a farce? These people will be so angry that they kill this person.
Oh, those are the right wing. These are the right wing right here.
Right. So I'm not sure if you've ever watched.
You could say one extent those are the left wing too.
Have you watched a Korean TV drama?
Not really, no.
Okay. All right. So unfortunately, I have. And these things go on for like thousands of hours. And for the first 10 hours, you're disgusted
They are the
by
left
the
again.
plot. Because it makes no sense.
Yeah, they are both.
But by the 20th hour, you can't stop watching it. Right? The same situation here where it's a silly television drama. It's all fake. Once people watch too much of it, they want it to be true.
They are emotionally
and that's the nature
attached
of
to
reality
it. Yes.
that we live in. Right? So certain things to remember is that what creates this reality are not the people in charge. What creates this reality
The
is
bonding's
our
not rude or
imagination.
delicious too.
Okay, so the first thing
Dude,
to
I'm just so tired of
appreciate
it.
is that
It's just an unending cycle. You just try to explain something and then they will gotcha you. And then in return you try to gotcha them. You just stagnate. There is no progression.
everything is a hallucination. And this is something that neuroscientists have confirmed. So what we're going to do is we're going to take Plato's Allegory of the Cave, the framework, and then apply it to our reality to understand how it's created. Okay? So in the first layer, you need a power, a force, to put people in change, right? And this is what we call the military-industrial complex of America, as well as the empire. So going back to this example, it's the layer that puts the people into change. But now the second step is you need people to create the reality, to direct people's attention, to create the game. And these people are the financial elite, the Bank of International Settlements, based in Basel. So what do? These people are the ones who set the exchange currency rates. And they also allow for seamless financial transactions, the SWIFT system, basically. Then Wall Street and the City of London were the financiers. And then you have the Federal Reserve, the Federal Reserve System. Because the Federal Reserve are the people who print money. Okay. Now, once you create the rules of the game, you need to create the game itself, which is the global economy, right? Global economy. And obviously, this is a pretty vast system that encompasses everything, okay? Now you have to explain to people how the global economy works. And you cannot tell people, oh, really, there are these secret people working behind the scenes that are projecting shadows onto a wall. So what you do is you create multilateral organizations that pretend to control the global economy. And they are the World Bank, the United Nations, WTO. You make people believe that this is all being controlled impartially for our benefit.
This looks like you didn't add in our shit.
You have to convince people that this system is legitimate. That when you're actually seeing the shadows on the wall, they're real. And that's why you need the media. That's why you need culture, such as Hollywood, movies, basically. And you need education, school system. Okay? These are the people who are all prisoners, who have become leaders of the prisoners, and who are helping them understand the shadows on the wall.
So am I in the media?
Yes, you are.
Am I?
Yes.
So what am I doing? Am I one of the people in the fire controlling the narrative? Is that what?
Yes, yes.
But I'm not owned by anybody.
That's what you think.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Who am I owned by?
Ultimately, it's the people who control the fire that are in charge, right? So ultimately, it's these people, the second layer, the game masters, the financial elite that control everything.
And the financial elite, again, are like the World Bank, you said?
No. The financial elite are these private bankers.
Okay, so are the private bankers controlling me? Because you said I was in the media.
Do you want to make money?
Yeah.
Then they're controlling you.
Okay.
Right.
How are they controlling me?
Because they control the creation of money. And so now that you have the media.
Yeah, I think they control you by giving you an incentive. You know? It is a good theory.
And the cultural systems, helping people understand the shadows on the wall. These shadows now become internalized. And they dictate the values and norms of people, what they believe to be good and bad. They dictate habits and customs, how you live your life. And they dictate the legal system, who's punished for what, okay? And this becomes the top edifice. And what's amazing about the system is that in our minds, okay, we believe that the system is, first of all, the complete opposite, where the foundation is actually the laws, the habits, and the values. When in fact, in reality, these are just figments of our imagination, okay? That's point one.
Well,
point two is that this is a very, very delicate structure. So if anyone doesn't cooperate, okay, then this edifice collapses. It's because it's a very, very delicate system, okay? And the third thing, and this is most important to understand the world that we live in, as the system becomes much more wobbly, meaning that young people don't really believe in the shadows anymore. Young people grow up and says, are these shadows really real? They don't feel real to me. The system needs to become much more authoritarian. It needs to force people to believe what they refuse to believe. Because everyone in the system is incentivized to ensure this edifice is stable.
Do you think this is somewhat linked?
They could convince them that if you are believing this, you are smart, and if you are against it, you are dumb. You know? Instead of forcing them to believe it, that will lead to rewards. So you will just put proxies in the internet or in the politics to make them, convince them to believe that this is the right thing to do. You get it? Instead of fighting it, you just make them join your cause. Get back into the loophole.
To what's going on with independent...
It's easier to manipulate people rather than forcing them.
Independent media.
Exactly.
Because independent media are asking a lot of questions.
Incentivized to ensure this edifice is stable.
Do you think this is somewhat linked to what's going on with independent media?
Exactly.
Because independent media are asking a lot of questions about the way society functions.
Exactly. And that's why we're seeing governments becoming very worried about independent media. Because if you have people in the population saying, these shadows are fake, this creates a ripple effect. It causes people to start questioning the shadows on the wall. You can't have that. So that's why it's important to have censorship. That's why it's important to deplatform people.
Bang, hello, how's your day? Pretty great. Thank you for asking. What about you?
Politics, DEI. Because it's in the shadows on the wall. You can't have that. So that's why it's important to have censorship. That's why it's important to deplatform people. That's why you have woke politics, DEI. Because it's an enforcement mechanism.
Yeah, I mean, it is pretty hard. You know, it's not easy being an independent podcaster if you have a big platform, because you're not always the most loved by the mainstream media.
And they'll figure out how to eventually.
But I think that's very human, actually. I think the incentives are quite understandable from a human perspective.
Look, if you look at the system, no one's really in charge, and no one's a villain. They just grow up in the system.
And everyone's protecting their incentives.
Exactly.
That's kind of what I mean. I'm like, yeah, human nature is to protect one's incentives. And, you know, the media didn't like Mark Zuckerberg and Facebook because 70-80% of ad revenue went to Google and Facebook. So they had a bit of a war. So I kind of get it. People are trying to protect what's theirs. And disruption causes people to, I guess, panic a little bit, but makes sense.
But the problem is that over time, more and more young people are going to grow up and say, I don't see shadows.
Mine was great as well.
I'm pretty sure we're being lied to. In which case, this presents an opportunity to overthrow the system and create a new system. And this is why AI is important.
But we currently believe this one. We currently believe in this structure. It's really difficult, I think, for the average person listening now to accept the fact that they have believed a bunch of fundamental ideas and stories that everything they care about is sat upon. But I mean, if you
I asked this question 10 years ago, dude. That's why I'm here. Oh my god.
read the book Sapiens and understood that humans got here because we had a remarkable ability to believe in stories that maybe the orangutan could not believe. It couldn't believe in money and governments and religions and all these kinds of things. It makes perfect sense that, yeah, there's really foundational stories we are accepting, and that's what's brought us here today. That's what keeps me from running out on the street without my clothes on or doing other...
Yeah, gotta learn that helps to really live back. Otherwise, he will start one die.
Activities
chop, chop.
I'm held in place by a set of stories that I've accepted, and they are stacked one upon the other to make me believe that everything I'm seeing and accepting is valid. But
I'd rather choose death and oblivion rather than part of this treadmill society, dude.
Reality that benefits everyone.
Is that possible?
Well, in theory, it's possible, but
reality.
And what's stopping us from creating our own reality that benefits everyone?
Is that possible?
Well, in theory, it's possible, but as you point out, there's certain people who are happy with the system and want to maintain the system. And that's why we're going to wars around the world. Because it's not just a war between different nation states. It's also a war for the fundamental nature of reality. You have the bankers versus the tech bros, right? That's what we're seeing in the world right now. Where for the longest time, Wall Street has controlled America, but now with the Trump revolution, you have Palantir. You have people like Larry Ellison, Peter Thiel, Sam Altman, who want to create Operation Stargate, which gives them complete control over people's imagination.
You can knock it over now.
Okay. And everything will come down eventually, because that is just the fundamental fact of human history. Everything, no matter how stable it seems in the beginning, it all comes crashing down eventually.
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 Cyclically.
Yes.
Ray Dalio talks about the cycles through history and how sort of predictable they are and how frequent they are. Is there a frequency to the rise and fall of these, I guess, perceived realities or empires, as he calls it?
Yeah, you have a planet God left
around 200 years.
True.
And so we are now in the twilight of the American Empire. And what we know is that when empires decline, it's always for the same reasons. And it's always because of too much debt, too much corruption, too much inequality. And we're seeing that in America today. And the other thing that we know is you can't actually stop the decline of empires. So Oswald Spengler, who is a German theoretician, he argues that we are human beings and we have natural life cycles because we're organisms. Well, societies are the same way, where empires, they will be born, they'll rise, and they'll die. And it's a good thing because that's what allows for constant human innovation.
Do you think that will happen in my lifetime? I'm 30 years old, 33 years old.
It may happen in everyone's lifetime. It may happen in the next 5 to 10 years. We are seeing...
Do you think that's going to happen in the next 5 or 10 years?
I think there's a very strong possibility that the American Empire will collapse next.
I mean, it did kind of happen in India. Not India. Yeah, in India, in Tamil Nadu. Like ADMK and BMK was the empire for the past 70 years. But now, in a last span of 3 years, there is a new party that came in. I don't know who's behind that party is. But people chose the third party over the two parties that existed in the past 70 years. So I think that is a good possibility. It just you can measure this eventual doom with how much is suffering that normal people, working class people are suffering.
5 to 10 years.
You know, if more people are suffering because of whatever the cause is, the faster the empire fell because of the people. You know? Not because they just revolt against it.
Because
that's pretty much it.
Overstretched, it's in too much debt, and it is really angering the entire world. It's basically unifying the entire world against it right now.
And if that is to be the case, what would you give?
And it's working. I never heard that American in my life before, but now I do.
Me as advice as a 33-year-old.
I think it's working very well.
Be thinking about taking
what they're doing,
based on what you know about history, to make sure that it's not too bad for myself. I guess I'm asking this question in light of you predicting that there might be a collapse of the sort of Western or the American empire. And in such a scenario, I was wondering what it would look like to be an American. And is there a solution or a course of behavior one should take in such a scenario? But I guess that's the key question, which is, if the US empire does collapse, how does American life change or Western life change?
Okay, so one theory that's very important.
I mean, if they just let it happen without finding too much about it, I think they can still survive, but as a weaker power. But if they're trying to get back their glory days, I think they will just put down by other people that doesn't want to deal with that bullcrap. You know?
Want to understand is something called Hermetic philosophy. And Hermetic philosophy is what underpins Plato's Allegory of the Cave. And Hermetic philosophy comes from Egypt. And it has certain principles, but its main principle is that reality is energy, it's vibrations. Okay, so we think of it as material, but material is a consequence of energy, right? So what this means is that reality is consciousness itself. So our thoughts are what's real. Our bodies are just vehicles to experience the world around us, but they're not real. When we die, our souls return to the source, and we come back again.
But what the fuck? There, this is what I said before. You guys remember this, right? He's saying the exact same thing I did. What? What? This is the exact same thing, word by word, what I said before.
We're here primarily in order to experience things we cannot experience in the spiritual world, because in the spiritual world, it's not material. Okay? So what's really important is to appreciate that.
Yeah, I know for a fact this guy is smart. Now I know. But some of the things he says, he's speculation and he said it himself. But he's just exploring the possibilities of what could happen if things go south. Think of it in that way.
Every one of us.
This is not like it's going to happen. This is what could happen. You know, it's an speculation.
Is part of the source. And so if we think about the totality of things, we can only become despondent. We can only give up hope. But if we think about how individually we can become a better person and how we can impact the people around us, then that becomes reflected onto the reality itself, because we're just part of God itself, right? So the idea is as above, so below, as below, so above, meaning that we are each and every one of us fractals of God. So if we choose to be a good person, this makes the world a better place. If we choose to be a bad person, it also makes the world a worse place. So it's not really about how can I stop these wars from happening, because you cannot. It's not really about where can I put my money to generate more income, because that's not going to happen. It's really about how do I live my life to the fullest? How do I become a much more creative individual that brings goodness to the people around me? If you do that, you're changing the world every day for the better.
That's a nice message. That's a very nice message. And I agree. And it's really interesting. I've spoken to a couple of physicists now who say similar
that is an amazing message.
About consciousness.
He just covered almost every religion in the world with that message. Almost every religion that is actually good said the exact same thing.
It really has stuck with me. A lot of things people say, you know, sometimes because I learned so much doing this that I forget them. But this idea that that we're all part of the same consciousness, and that I think someone said to me, a physicist said to me that it's almost like consciousness divided into lots of little pieces, so that
that's right, fractals,
so that it could experience the world or view the world.
Exactly.
And I found that to be a really compelling idea. Weirdly, I was thinking about this the other day.
That is Hinduism. Buddhism is kind of like that. Christianity is kind of like that. I think Islam is like that. I think Jainism is kind of like that too. Every religion has this one ultimate God that doesn't have any form. And humans are made in that shape of God. Yeah.
In a European country, and I was driving in a taxi, and I looked out the window, and you had all of these like tourists just stood at the edge of the water, all just like looking up and looking around. And I just, for a second, thought of them as like little pieces of consciousness exploring the world, because they were like looking up and looking around and looking at mountains and looking at the ocean and looking at the floor. And it dawned on me for a second that might just be consciousness is manifestation for sort of, I guess,
Dude, I know
exploration.
this when I was like 18.
It's a really interesting idea. I don't necessarily know what it
How
means, but it
it's
does create a
so
lot of empathy.
hard for people to figure this
one
out.
area that you might want to explore is the Kabbalah.
I mean, it took me
So
5
how's
years
this-
to realize this,
Kabbalah
but
thing?
Right? It's what they call the tree of life. And in the tree of life, it's what I'm trying to say is that it's a certain dynamic in the world that governs all human affairs. And this dynamic is thesis, antithesis, synthesis. So God is the will to bestow, creates Adam Kanman, who is the will to receive. Adam Kanman has to abandon God, thus destroying the world, but eventually, because the world is destroyed, Adam Kanman and his descendants, us, recognize the folly of our ways and beg God for forgiveness, and this will redeem the world, repair the world. And if you think about it, okay, this is what underpins a lot of actions that is happening in the Middle East, where the Israelis are doing what they're doing because they're trying to force the hand of God. Meaning that, okay, if Israel is committing all these atrocities in the Middle East, it's committing all these wars, eventually the world will have to punish the Israelis, right? There'll be war between the world and Israel. And Israel will be humbled. But once Israel is humbled, everyone in Israel recognize the folly of his or her arrogance, hubris, and then will beg God for forgiveness. And once that moment happens, when all people in Israel at the same time beg God for deliverance and for forgiveness, the world will end and will return to paradise. That's literally what they believe.
But that's what literally in Bible.
Fascinating. We're going to have to stop there,
Jesus.
Professor.
Okay.
We have a closing tradition where the last guest leaves a question for
I
the next
think
guest,
that's
not
the
knowing who
word
they're
that
leaving
God
it for.
as well. But
And the
yeah,
question left for
that's
you
what they
is,
say.
who will you miss the most and why?
Well, I will miss my wife the most because I met my wife about 10 years ago. And this was a time in my life when I had hit rock bottom. I went to Yale, and so I have a very elevated sense of myself and my abilities. And so I went into the world thinking that I would conquer it. And after decades of failure, I basically became very depressed.
Failure?
Yes, meaning I didn't have a job, meaning I didn't have much income, meaning I didn't have much hope in my life. And so I was working as a teacher, and then through a mutual acquaintance, I met my wife. And I think that it was because I became so depressed that my heart, I begged for relief. I begged God, even though I don't believe in God, for salvation and redemption. And my wife came as an angel. And what she did that no one else did before was she loved me unconditionally. She was kind to me. She told me to believe in myself. And she proved it by making the ultimate sacrifice and having a child with me. Right? It's one thing for someone to say, I believe in you, I love you. But it's another thing to have a child with that person. And so that changed me totally. And I said to myself, I can't despair anymore. I have to work hard. I have to provide for my family. And at this time, I was thinking that maybe I could help certain students go to Yale. Like, in China, consulting is a huge business where if you help package a kid and you get into Yale, you get about $1 million. That's a lot of money, right? And she told me, you can't do that. You have to be true to yourself and you have to be true to our son. Set a good example for him. And so what happened was that I got a job as a high school teacher. And then I started to make these YouTube videos. And then it blew up online. And this was not something that we expected. It's not something that we planned for. It just happened organically. So it was my wife, just by saying, I love you to me, and I knew it to be true because we had a child together, we started a family together. By loving me unconditionally, by being kind to me, it changed me forever. And that's what empowered me to want to share myself with other people as well. And so I don't know how I will ever thank my wife. I'm forever grateful for her. And before I didn't really mind leaving this world, but I don't want to leave this world anymore because I don't want to separate from her.
Could you have expected that you'd have the success you had online? You've got
Daddy just said
almost 2.5
hello.
million
What's up?
subscribers on YouTube alone.
How you doing?
Getting millions and millions and millions of views on your
Are you
videos.
getting flexed away with the Chinese
some of your
guy
videos
that having a
almost 10
while?
million views on various channels that you've been on. You've only made 146 of these videos, and your channel has grown immensely. Could you have imagined?
I did.
You did imagine?
Yes.
You thought it would go like this?
Not this big, but I imagine, I would find people who believe in what I was doing and would be inspired by what I was doing. And I knew this because when I met my wife and I fell in love for the first time, and we loved each other unconditionally, my imagination started to open up. I could see and feel things that were not available to me before. And it was
This
as
is
though
Moon's figure, by
I
the
became
way.
much more connected to the source. I became
He's
much more
going
connected
into
to
the La La
universe.
Land.
And the universe was giving me insights as to how to proceed. And so I had one day an inspiration. Let me start our YouTube channel and let me make stupid predictions and see where it goes. Because if I'm right, then I would be pretty famous. If I'm wrong, then I'm an idiot. But what gave me the courage to imagine all this was, again, the love of my wife. So that's why I say kindness and love. So I did imagine this, but not to the extent that, my YouTube channel has blown up.
You've only been doing it about a year. I don't think I've ever seen someone get 2.5 million subscribers in a year, especially making geopolitics and it's mainly geopolitics, isn't it? And history videos in a year. That's crazy.
But I will tell you this. It has not changed me, because being with my wife, having a family, I know my mission is to share myself with others. So I could easily create a media education company like Jordan Peterson and start my own university. I don't want to do that. I want to share myself with others. I want to constantly learn. I want to constantly ask questions. I want to be open-minded. I want to be brave for my wife and my family. And so, yes, I did succeed. And I thank the universe for letting me succeed. And I thank most of all the fact that I succeeded at an age and at a time when I can focus on a mission and ignore the fame, the wealth, the status.
Are you happy?
I'm very happy with my family, because it's my wife and my children who bring me tremendous happiness in the world. The YouTube channel, if they close it down tomorrow, and they might, I wouldn't be at all unhappy, because I could just go and create more videos. What matters is a source of my creativity, which is the love I have for my family.
That is beautiful. Really beautiful. I mean, it's really self-evident the value you're giving to people, because the amount of people that showed up in my comment section and demanded that you
Yeah, he just said he's going to make predictions, right? Unbelievably.
I just saw your name so much in the comments section.
Insane predictions.
So I was like, who's this guy?
I think some of the factors we covered in today about the capitalism and the problems they have, it is a problem that is happening in all over the world. And you guys have to recognize it, because if you are still stuck in that hamster wheel and then thinking one day you are going to make it big, you are taking a massive risk with just not just with your wealth that you can achieve only once in your lifetime, and your whole life you have to wager. I think we need to change the system in a way that you can make many wagers or many risks like that.
Thank you for doing what you do, because you're demystifying and you're
because
giving a
most of the
perspective to the world.
inventions
I think
and
one of the things
discoveries
you
that
do
happen in the
really
world,
has compelled people is
where people
you're
are
able
willing to take
um,
risks without
break
too
things
many
down in
consequences.
visual ways that allow people
That's
like
how
me, who
innovation
aren't
happened in the world,
best,
and that's why we
when it comes
stagnated
to
as a humanity in this
books and textbooks and
what do you
weren't
call it,
necessarily very
in
good
this
in
decade.
school to understand concepts in a simpler way and really to bring them to
We
life
don't
in ways
have the
that make them
opportunities to
actionable
take
and
many
relevant to our
risks in our
lives.
lives,
And so long may
especially in
you
the
carry
middle
on
class.
doing that.
And there are a
that's
lot
the
of middle
message
class in the
that I hope
world
people
rather than
understand.
rich people.
Everyone has capacity to
And once you've gotten too
learn
big to the
truth
point that you
for
are too
himself or
rich,
herself.
you cannot
It's
take
only a
risks
question of
either.
desire and will.
Thank you.
Thank you.
YouTube
Get
have this
it?
new crazy algorithm where they know exactly what video you would like to watch next based on AI and all of your viewing behavior. And the algorithm says that this video is the perfect video for you. It's different for everybody looking right now. Check this video out, and I bet you might love it.
You're not talking to somebody who woke up a loser. I don't think the United States is a loser. Our industry is now a loser. And
NVIDIA's finally ripping the Band-Aid off, and it's no longer reporting gaming revenue separately in its earnings. And this is at a time when NVIDIA has been promoting terminal-based cloud-connected computing instead of owning computers.
There's no question my ambition has changed. You know, I wanted to be somebody to do something, make a contribution.
Chinese guy.
That was the old
Well,
Jensen.
let's be raged.
You know, the new Jensen, I got big ambitions now.
the world moved away from those centralized computing environments towards everybody just using laptops. This is today's computing environment.
Yesterday's computing was largely about personal computing. In the future, it's going to be about personal AI. Those billions of agents will all use tools, and those tools are going to be like, you know, like PCs, just like us humans using PCs today. In the future, you'll have an agent using PC. We're also going to see personal AI. Instead of personal computers, we want personal AI.
During NVIDIA's quarterly earnings,
Let's
NVIDIA
use
announced
one
a
and then
change
would have got
that
it
will
to
report
be
revenue
a
for its
small stream. But tomorrow itself, if I wake up earlier, I will play video games. We are going back to video games tomorrow. Yeah, if there is any gacha games you want me to play, let me know in the Discord. Fanny, are you here? Let me know who I can read. Any new person you discovered that we can show our support to? Rani, anyone? AFK? Chat, Yandia. You're ending. Okay, yes. Looks like Rani is gonna be okay. Bye, Alexa. Bye. Yeah, see you on the next one. Take care. Have a nice one. Bye. Have a good rest. You too. Bye. Alright, I'm just gonna thought it today. Take care. Be sure to subscribe, like the video, follow. Do all the things so you guys can show me your support. And I will catch you guys on the next one. Bye.